Yeah, I think I found it.
Everyone heard that.
Yay!
Yay! Hi everyone, this is Ultra Podcast, the episode 83. I never opened with hi everyone. That was such a weird way for me to open. I don't know why.
Hello, everyone.
Hi everyone. This is Manuel, leader of AJ Connections, and tonight Konaru is not joining us. She is busy working the retail life during Christmas, which I'm sure is lovely for her. And by lovely, I mean quite horrible. I worked retail, and I worked retail during Christmas, and
it's not a fun time.
I feel sorry for anyone who does that still. Anyway, if you're working retail and you're sitting at your your Sears or your, I'm trying to think of phone companies. I guess that's the only I can think of. Your other company, just tune into the podcast.
One, yeah.
Tune into the podcast, and we'll try to cheer you up. But anyhow, replacing her are two other guest hosts. I'll start with Dangelo. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Dangelo, and I'm the media content manager from JRock Press.
And joining us, also special guest tonight, is a good friend of mine you might recognize. We do some panels together at conventions. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel. You could catch me over at Instagram at Glitched Alchemy. I do some panels, including the Edo Godo, and I think might have helped with the Visual Kei one once. I don't think so. Yeah.
It's funny, you've never been on that one regularly, but you have been on it once, I believe. I don't know.
I think it was just once, just helping out because no one else was there.
Yeah. But for those who don't know, tonight we're going to be talking Visual Kei, specifically Visual Kei over the past 10 years and like what we think about what's gone on, what's going on now, what's going to be on in the future, and all that good stuff. So we have a few topics. I'm on the wrong screen. We have a few topics we're going to be covering tonight, or attempting to cover tonight, and we're a little more organized than last week. So, but then again, we're always organized. We have Max on because she's so like spaz. But so tonight we're going to talk about how each of us got into the typo already. How each of us got into Visual Kei, what types of music we listened to in 2009 compared to 2019. Compare VK 2009 and 2019. Things that brought the VK scene to its current state. We're going to tackle the ultimate question: is Visual Kei dying? And we're talking about its future, and we have some random topics thrown in, of course.
Always a heated question.
Oh yeah. It's funny because like the Visual Kei dying, I almost want to just tackle that one first because it's such a nice topic. But first of all, I don't think I actually have this listed in. I do have it listed. Okay, good. Let's talk a bit about our hosts. Tell us, Dangelo, a bit about JRock Press for those who might not know.
Yeah, JRock Press is we're starting out small, but we're media aggregate is the way I like to think of it. We're not really trying to be like all the other news networks. We're trying to get deep dives into exclusive content. Trying to separate ourselves from the rest of the herd. We're not really so much interested in just surface level news. We really want to dive deep into Japanese culture, music, fashion, and me personally, I'm really into the Visual Kei scene of it too. So that's why I'm here.
Nice.
Welcome. You're in the right place.
Yeah. For those who don't know, I'm really big in the Visual Kei scene. I mention this all the time. How I got into idol. Let me phrase that. I mention how I got into idol music all the time, and I'll get more into this in a minute. But for those who don't know, Visual Kei was how I discovered Japanese anything. To be honest, I grew up in a not so affluent, I guess I shouldn't say that because I saw Japanese bookstores and things, and there were Japanese video stores and whatever, but I didn't know any Japanese people besides the people running these places. So anyway, I got into everything I'm into now is because of Visual Kei. Rachel, I kind of jumped the gun there, but anything you want to talk about your background? You do other stuff too. You also run or help run some of those gatherings in NorCal, right?
I do, yeah. That's I run them along with a friend of mine named Danny. We do fashion meetups. Try to do it monthly. Sometimes it's bi-monthly just because of being in the Bay Area. There's so many other meetups going on that we don't want to step on toes and overstep our boundaries. So we try to do it monthly.
Nice.
But it's like a general J fashion. So we get people doing Lolita, we get people doing Visual Kei styles. It's a good mix-up.
Nice. So, a couple things I forgot to mention earlier. We're about to jump into our big topics right now. But chat is open. Feel free to chat in the chat box. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. I've always said this, and we got a lot of likes in the past couple weeks, or more than usual. So I don't know if it's because I said this and it works. But if we made you laugh, we deserve a like. So if we ever made you laugh during this podcast, go ahead and hit a like or dislike.
That's a good policy.
Yes. And
don't tell people to dislike it.
That's fair enough. If we made you laugh, give us a like. If you were going to, and I said that already, then give us a dislike. I mean, no, please don't do that. Please don't do that. But anyway, everything's open. I put Racheal stuff. I misspelled your name. I'll fix that real fast. Everybody will see it though. But so yeah, chat is open everywhere, and I see some stuff there. I did see them. I was at the Acme. Oh. Yes, apparently Dangelo and I could have met at the Acme concert, but I suck and I left early and I didn't see anyone real. I saw people, but like I bounced. Were you there, Rachel? I can't remember if you were there.
Acme, no.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw everyone except for you.
Yeah. Also, Rachel and Dangelo, I did not mention this earlier, but if you guys ever feel free like cutting me off during the topic, feel free to go ahead.
I was at the recent Duran concert.
I wanted to go so bad.
Oh, it was so good. Oh, it's so good.
I believe the closest show to where I'm from, Pittsburgh, is tomorrow. And tomorrow I had no choice but to do my normal job because I have Christmas-related things to do later this weekend that I can't work for. I was like heartbroken when I found out that I had to work tomorrow.
Oh my god.
Shit happens, but next time.
Hopefully they'll come around again. Yeah.
As
if not, when I go back to Japan. When I go back to Japan, we'll go.
As chance would have it, I ended up being... That was the first day I got sick, I believe. I ended up getting sick, and I also had other plans that night. And I didn't go at all, even though it was right near me and everyone I knew was going. But I'm also kind of an old man, where I'm like, I don't want to go to a show where the kids will be rowdy, you know? I went to a Loudness show. This is really off topic. Actually, not that off topic. I went to a Loudness show of the Japanese band Loudness, and... I was not expecting it to be such a crazy mosh pit. And like I was covering that totally officially. I went to the front, taking some really good pictures, and I was getting knocked into so much. And I was there with a friend of mine, like another person from A to J, and she got knocked down. And it was just like, dude, it's like this shit is insane. It's like,
that's crazy. I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah, Loudness. I mean, they are metal, but they're not that kind of metal.
It's more like a 80s hair metal kind of thing, more than it would be like a crazy Duran Gray mosh kind of thing.
Oh, it was crazy. I was in the first 2 rows, thankfully, but I was afraid to look behind me.
Oh, I know the one in Columbus is gonna be crazy because Ohio and like the side of PA, like Pittsburgh, has a ridiculous metal scene, like the craziest metalheads I've ever met. So I know it's just gonna be insane tomorrow. I almost feel bad for them.
Almost. My neck is just recovering, honestly.
Stop headbanging.
It was great though. No, it's life.
Anyway, also, I mentioned it there. See, I love how I got the intro all smooth, like, hi, everyone. But I'm also sick, so bear with me if I cough into the mic here and there. I'm trying to turn away, but it's also awkward because I'm trying to cover my mouth and wherever I can, but I'm already coughing like all hell into this mask, so...
directly back into your mouth.
Yeah, it's not pleasant in here. And I almost want to take it off, but I didn't shave, and I don't want everyone to see me with, like, my beard, so... Anyway, moving on. How we all got into Visual Kei? I'll go first because I actually kind of rehearsed this in the notes. You guys can like think about it a bit as I'm going on. So I got into Visual Kei really early on. I was pretty young. I was definitely still in high school. I'm trying to remember exactly what age. I was definitely still in high school, and I went to a Japanese bookstore that I used to always go to. It was in this Japanese mall that like I'd go to with friends. We'd buy like anime stuff. I was kind of into anime at the time, but we mostly went there for like snacks and food, and it was a close by market, so we weren't even going just for like the weeby stuff. We'd go there like just for snacks and food to eat regularly. And in this Japanese bookstore, I was going through the CDs, and I was marveling that there were like Japanese versions of like Megadeth and Iron Maiden. I was like, oh look, it's the album I know, but it's covered in Japanese, you know, like on the obi and everything. And I saw Malice Miser's, I wish I had the picture here, Bara no Seido, I think it's called, the album they did with the last album, the last album they did, the one they did with Klaha. And I remember I was like, oh my god. And I want to say I was definitely there with a friend, but I want to say my mom was at least like driving us around. I'm trying to remember how old I was. I'm like this whole scenario sounds weird. And I remember I was like, I can't get this. Like I don't have like $40, like whatever it costs, like conversion rate. And like, you know, as my like 8th or 9th grade ass, like, you know, with my little whatever pocket money. And my mom bought it for me. And I listened to it and I was like, what the fuck is this? If you never heard that album, go check it out. It's the weirdest album you'll ever hear. It's not Malice Miser. Some people might point out it was actually kind of written as a soundtrack to the silent movie they did, whose name I can't remember at all, but it was like a retelling of Dracula. And,
I need to see that. What?
Yeah, I have the DVD. I actually tracked down the DVD. I think you can buy it cheaper now, but I spent like $60 on it back in the day. And I think it's available on YouTube, but not as a full thing. You'd have to like, I think it's still up in that like part 9 of 18, you know, subtitled in Spanish, that kind of thing.
240p.
But I remember I was obsessed with it, and it kind of spiraled. So that's how I got into Visual Kei. Rachel, how'd you get into Visual Kei? And this, by the way, just to give this date, this is like the really early 2000s. So way back before we're even talking about here. Like when Manuel was a baby. Well, not that early, but still, when Manuel was a baby.
I want to say it was through anime, but I do have the memory of when I was younger, we'd go to this library that was right next to my house every week. And I'd go through the CDs and just kind of check them out. And I'm pretty sure I just grabbed a few because at that point I'd listened to so much of them that I just kind of grabbed. And I want to say I grabbed like a Duran Gray or someone. I don't remember, but it was great. And I sat there and I was like, I don't know what I'm listening to. What language is this? Who are these people? This is great. And I think years later, I was watching something in anime, and you know how they always have the tropes and archetypes. So I think they had someone as a Visual Kei artist, and I was just like, oh, 2 and 2 just went together.
Yeah, similarly to what Rachel said, I just remembered I should have mentioned too. When you put on the Baron no Seido album, is I'm pretty sure listening to Duran Gray for the first time is jarring.
It's a wild ride when you're listening to just random stuff in a library. But I'm like, how did it get there?
But putting on the Malice Miser album, the first track is 10 minutes long, and I don't think it has vocals until like the 6 or 8 minutes in. So it's just like this gothy instrumental for like 5 minutes. Then the band kicks in, and then it's like, then vocals kick in. So it was just like, oh my god, goth Manuel loves this, you know, that kind of like nonsense. Like, I mean, I'm not scared to admit I was a very gothy kid when I was younger, even though I would always be like, I'm not goth. But I think that's every angsty gothy kid, you know.
I don't think you're allowed to say that right now.
Why?
Look at you.
Are you calling me angsty goth? Yeah, I'm still an angsty goth.
I'm calling you out right now.
You're calling me out. Anyway, Dangelo, how'd you get into VK?
Oh, okay. Well, now listening to especially you, I feel like a little zoomer now because I got into
like last week.
Like no, but like probably like mid to late 2000s, like 2008ish. We'll go around there, right?
Hold on. Sorry, back up a little. Like I don't know if it felt for you guys. It froze for me for like 5 seconds. Anyways, 2008, 9ish. Sorry, go back just a little.
Yeah, it's me being like a little weeb in school, running around with a little Naruto jacket in the Naruto run. But I always like Japanese stuff like that through YouTube recommendations. Eventually, like just some Visual Kei videos would start coming through, and I always grew up in a house into rock and roll and all that stuff. So I mean, I take one little click on there, looking Japanese guy. Oh, I heard this. Oh, it's rock and roll. It all kind of just like clicked together, and it was like a match made in heaven. It was just perfect. It was perfect.
Nice. It's funny because like restart the stream. I think I might have lost. Oh, I didn't lose the stream. Okay, came back. Thank God. I was second there. No, I don't know what happened to my computer. I think I forgot to check on it, but Discord was updating, and I was even telling you guys like, hey, why is Discord updating like so soon before we start? I think it finished its update, and like it froze our cameras for, at least on my end, for like 10 seconds. Not that long, but like, so I got nervous. But it's funny. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be real with you guys. For a brief while there, actually not a brief while, but for a while there, I was that old VK fan where I was like, I was into this before you guys were, because I always made the joke. I mean, whenever I talk about when I got into it, I make the joke that like when I got into VK, Malice Miser was still around, and when they went on hiatus, like I mind you, like, I didn't really know about it. Like this is like early internet days, so I got everything. Like I feel like everyone got everything weeks later. When they went on hiatus, I'm like, oh, they're actually going on hiatus, so Mana can do his other thing. And now that's 20 years almost.
You remember the movie Moonchild?
I have it on DVD. It's my favorite movie. It's like my favorite bad movie. It's beautiful.
The first time I had met someone else that knew what Visual Kei was, I think I was in middle school, and someone just randomly mentioned that movie. I didn't even. They were just talking. And I was just like, swoop, hello, what?
Yeah, I think it's still in my Blu-ray player.
Talking.
My favorite thing about Moonchild was once again, like I remember when that movie came out. By the way, I think I was actually in middle school when I got that CD, because I'm trying to think back on it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I remember Moonchild, like, it used to annoy me because that was around the time when VK was becoming kind of a bit more like popular in the weeby circles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you people saying it through message boards or through wherever.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even tell you, and people might laugh at this now, but it was really the case back then, when people would be like, oh, like, I love watching Moonchild, but I feel so bad. Rip Hyde. And I'm like, and for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about here, because they assume that was Hide from Next Japan. And that happens so much. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. It happened so many times. And like,
oh, the poor guy.
And I was like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And these are all like, like, mind you, at this probably like an adult or whatever, but these are all the middle school VK goth fans,
great.
Who are all like, oh, Rip Hyde, like, I'm so, like, first of all, I never heard anyone say Hide until like really recently. That's kind of like, everyone still said Hyde. I remember like when I was still going to conventions, like where I mentioned this in our pre-show, but like in 2010, X Japan did a party where they filmed part of the Born to Be Free music video during AX, but like in a separate venue. And even in line, 2010, with X Japan fans, I don't think I heard anyone say his name Hide. Everyone still said Hyde. And like, I don't know, like, so yeah, right up until then, I don't know if you ever had that confusion, but whenever I think of Moonchild, I can't help but think about that, with all the people who thought that was like Hide's last film before he died or whatever.
That's really sad.
I still hear people confuse Hide and Hyde all the time. Like, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, like, out of my circle of friends, I'm really the only one that's like really big into Japanese music, but my friends just kind of listen to it because it's like my thing. So like when they're here, we put it on. They all came with me to see the Hyde show maybe 2 or 3 months ago, right? Mm-hmm. And even there, I heard a few people, my friends too, because they didn't really know, and they just got the names confused. I'm hearing Hide and Hyde. I'm like, all right, the one guy clocked out a long time ago. The one's like right there. Like,
I know. Like, for the record, for those who don't know, Hide was the guitarist for X Japan. He passed away in 1997. 90s. I want to say, yeah, like long before, well, to be fair, not long before, but like years before even I got into it. So, so that was way before even my time. My current favorite thing is the 15-year-old fans now who are like, oh, Rip Hide, I was so sad when I found out. I'm like, what, when you were like 13, when he's already been dead for 15 years? But anyways, that's a topic for another story. I don't want to like rag on fans. Cheryl Phantom 97, which is sadly the Hide year, is sharing in the chat that he got into Visual Kei. To 2013, D was his first band. Actually, I think we might have been at the same show, because D was playing at PMX, Pacific Media Expo. They did 2 nights back to back at PMX 20. I guess it's 2013, if that's the year he went. I like to say that was the same show, if I'm not mistaken. So I did go to that show as well. To be honest, I love D Sound, but I haven't heard of D much before or after that. And that's not necessarily because I don't think they're good. They're one of those many bands that I feel like I just never got too much of a deep dive into. But anyway, that's how we got into VK. Oh, did you finish your story? I don't remember if we cut off like your thing. How you got into VK, Dangelo?
I think I finished it.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
You recommended
because we kind of stopped at Moonchild, or the Moonchild thing.
My bad.
By the
Nothing's
way,
ever interrupted by Moonchild.
I had to watch.
Perfect.
I had to watch that movie like 2 or 3 times the first time. The first time I saw it, because I was so confused. That sounded weird. I had to watch it 2 or 3 times, like when I first got it. That's the better way to phrase that, because I was so confused by it. I still kind of am. I don't know. I should watch it again recently. I mean, like, now, because when I watched it about the time it came out, I had a bootleg DVD. Like, I think actually no, that one I think I did have an official DVD, because that one got an official release pretty early on, if I'm not mistaken. Like whatever random DVD company put it out there, and it was like $10, like at a convention. So I got it, like when it was still newish. So yeah. So let's move on. What's our next topic? What type of music did we listen to in 2009? I'm glad that unless I missed a year here or there, that we were all into VK in 2009. But let's talk about what artists we listened to. What type of VK? I'll teach you to that. Did we listen to? Wow, it's too big. What VK? What VK did we listen to? Okay. Angelo, we'll start with you, because you kind of jumped in there, and I was going to say you anyway.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know who was taking the bait or what, so I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah.
So, one of the first ones I kind of remember was a lot of Nightmare videos would come up in my recommendations. Click on a few of those bad boys. Those are pretty good. And then that was right around when like Vamps started coming out. And I mean, you could kind of debate if Vamps is Visual Kei or not, because like it's kind of in this like in between where it's like Hyde was definitely he kind of brought back the look, but like it's also kind of just like I don't know, it kind of hovers in between just so like to get that the most amount of viewership possible. You kind of understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Real little fast aside.
Refined.
Real little fast aside. I love when people go see Vamps is on hiatus right now too, by the way. When people went to go see Vamps, it's a little easier to kind of get the Hida Hyde confusion, because Kaz, the guitarist for Vamps, was very big in Hida's Spread Beaver band, like his solo band. So there, I could kind of get some of the confusion. So, but anyway, going on. They're two different.
Wait, can I go on a tiny little tangent?
Go ahead.
When Vamps came to Pittsburgh in 2017, I was with one of my friends. Right, she's a little bit of a older woman, right?
Yeah.
And she's real big into like Hyde and Vamps and all that stuff, but she doesn't. I don't know, she didn't really understand it fully, right? And she was convinced that she saw Kaz on the street, right? And just came up and gave this guy the biggest, fattest hug. It was like, and it wasn't him. It was just some random
Oh my God.
He turned around and he was like, what the hell is this woman doing? And I just had to walk away. I was like, I can't have nothing to do with this. I'm gone. But I'll never forget it.
Oh my God.
Alright, but like then I always knew Hyde from Lark and Seal, and then when I saw Vance, I was like, whoa, this is fucking badass. And I didn't make the connection, and then when I made the connection, my mind was blown. So, Vamps 2, Nightmare, dabbled a little bit of X Japan, but like it wasn't much on. And it didn't really seem to have like that resurgence until a couple years later, like 2010, 2011, in my opinion. Yeah, that's about it, honestly.
Okay. Rachel, what were you listening to in 2009?
Gosh, honestly, I couldn't pinpoint the year exactly, but I listened to Lorraine, Versailles, Duran Gray. I want to say Death Gaze, but I don't remember. I usually went with some of the harder stuff and like the heavier sounds. Yeah, I actually didn't listen to a lot of Gazette.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm still. It's not like I dislike them. I've just never really gotten super into them.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I like them, but like I'm not like there's just the diehard fans. I've never really gone that deep into it.
Mm. And then like on the complete opposite end, I'd listen to things like LNC.
Oh.
And
Oh yeah.
I love them, and I still do. I still like their new music, even though it doesn't sound the same.
Yeah, I didn't expect the new album to be that great, but I liked it a lot, actually.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And I actually got the chance, I think it was 2010, not 9, but they came to Fanime one year, and I was hype.
Yeah.
I was hype. I was in line, alone, a tiny child. I had no friends, but I was gonna watch them anyway.
The very first year AX was in LA at the LA Convention Center was 2008, and LMC were the music guests that year too. So I didn't see them because I'm a loser. But
they're coming back this year somewhere.
They've been doing a lot of shows lately. Like I want to say I don't remember all the names.
It's all in mid though.
Yeah, it's in the nether region. But then again, it's like that's Dangelo region. I was about to talk crap about the area. I'm like, wait, that's Dangelo.
Okay. Good enough on that.
But yeah, it's in the places I never bothered to go to. But no, what I was listening to in 2009. No, I kind of glanced over this, but like when I got into Malice Miser, it was kind of in a microcosm because like for a few years that was pretty much all I would listen to, like Japanese wise, and then somehow through the magic of the internet, I discovered this.
It's good on our end.
I like how you guys can hear me, but I'm like, I don't think it's recording anything when I do that. But like, because I think it records what I'm seeing, but it only stops for like 5 seconds. Anyways, so this guy, he would sell me like lots of CDs. Like I'd give him like like $150, and he would send me like a couple hundred CDs.
Oh, okay.
And it was like literally like boxes after boxes after boxes would show up. And I remember one day I went to like I went to the post office to go pick up my mail, and they brought out like 3 or 4 of those UPS boxes, like the white ones. They had brought those out full of packages of CDs, and it probably looked so suspicious because they were wrapped so weird. And it's probably like this guy's ordering a lot of drugs.
Customs over there.
No, but I remember going through them, and I discovered Lorraine through there. I discovered X Japan through there. Because I wasn't that good of an internet user. I never really was. I don't think I even had the internet to myself until like I was well into an adult. Like I would use it. We never had it at home, and I would use it like at school or like at the library. Well, until I was about 17 or so. But so anyway, like all these CDs, and I got through all these bands. And this is pretty much what I listened to for a while. I remember X Japan, Lorraine, who I think were still around right before Versailles. Moirismois, I was really into Moirismois for a while. I'm actually not that into. First of all, I'm not doing anything anymore. Like Mana's just like doing his fashion line forever. But that kind of goes into like today. But 2009, Moirismois was still awesome because that was the year they came to LA. But I guess Manuel was still a bit more of a goth person back then because
did you listen to Swerse at all?
No, I didn't.
I loved them.
Cycle of Shem was probably one of my favorite bands ever. They still kind of are. Though I don't listen to them as much as I used to, even though they're back together. I was never into the Oshada side of things, though, I will admit.
Yeah, me neither, honestly.
Yeah,
I like peek my head in, but
LMC, I think, and Alibi. I liked Alibi.
But like On Cafe and Sug and I can't think.
I didn't like On Cafe.
Yeah, me neither. I like Sug.
They were also at Fanime though. I think 2008. I don't know.
Well,
yeah,
I mention this all the time, and Rachel doesn't remember this. It's kind of like a little off topic because it's before a little time frame here. But Kamijo was at Fanime as Lorraine. It was just him, but it was like he did that for the record. Like even in Japan, it's like Lorraine's performing, but it's just him, and like maybe a band, but sometimes it'd be just him with backing tracks. But yeah, he was at Fanime, as Lorraine, just by himself though. Like, hey, I'm Lorraine. Yeah, I'm Kamicho. And that was like right before like the start of like Versailles, so it wouldn't surprise me. Is that
that's
Maya?
awesome.
It is, and that's my name in the baby English. It's so cute.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I also got cool ass checkies.
Wait, is that what group was this? Kaya's band, or what group was this?
It's Swish. Swish sign.
Oh. Wait, where'd you see them?
No, I met Kaya, and
how'd you get their checkies?
he was selling. No
In
joke. Yeah.
When he was in San Francisco or whatever for his things? What the fuck?
They had like 2 different sets to buy, and I bought all of it, of course. And I got the checkies, the signed picture, and all these really, really nice photos that I want to frame like all together one day.
Yeah, those are really nice.
Yeah.
They're so pretty.
I remember whoever brought, and this kind of goes into our next. I'll actually try to segue into that because I'm the last one talking anyway. About what segued into, like, what changed since 2009. Let me cheat that real fast. But I remember 2009, even with Mwadi Sma being here officially, that was like, I remember that was the year when it's kind of one of the last years, but the scene, especially the VK scene, was full of bootlegs.
Yeah.
What changed since? Were you a fan ever, Dangelo, when you would run across the boot? Because the anime bootlegs are still there to this day, I think.
Yeah, like my experience with bootlegs, I've seen like one or few Durham Gray ones. I think not that stuff really came over to the East Coast that much, except for like we love Durham Gray here because metalheads all over the East Coast, right? But like besides that, a lot of like JRock and Visual Kei stuff didn't really make it to this side.
Oh. But
so a lot of the bootlegs and stuff I see here was just like online, like early 2000s stuff. People loved the fucking like Durham Gray, and then like eventually the Gazette. Like that's more of the bootlegs that I haven't experienced with, is all that stuff that I think everyone's had. But like a lot of like physical bootlegs never really made it over to the side unless you went to like New York City and there'd be like a few shops. That's about it.
Because I remember like the first couple Gazette albums I had were bootleg. Almost all the Durham Gray stuff I had for a while was bootleg. The early Mwadi Sma albums were bootleg, and so on. I got an Extra Pan Greatest Hits CD, which was bootleg, and a ton of others. I'm like, whenever I got a DVD, actually, like most of the DVDs I owned for a while were like all bootlegs, except with very rare exceptions. I remember Larkin Steele had an official concert that was released on DVD. But besides that
like
one,
2000, the one that like in Boston or something.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's like the only one I had for the longest time too, because you couldn't find anything else here besides the occasional Durham Gray pop up. Yeah,
like because literally every other DVD I think I had. Like I had like GAC Lives. Actually, one of them wasn't a bootleg. I had, like the one for the March tour, I have the official one, but everything else I had was bootlegs. The MV collections, those are bootlegs. I remember that was just so big back in the day.
I wouldn't be surprised if the ones that I heard at the library were
bootlegs.
Yeah,
it was funny because
I was young, so I didn't know. They might have been.
I didn't know until I was trying to like sell some to a friend of mine. Like, these are all bootleg, and I'm like, how can you tell? It's like, first of all, you can tell because of the record label. They'd all be through this bootleg record label, but you could also tell because a lot of times they all had like they only had like 3 or 4 barcodes, and it'd be the same 3 or 4 barcodes and everything.
Oh, okay,
dude,
okay.
My computer has been updated this whole time. No wonder.
Smooth.
Yeah, it's like your updates are ready to install, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Maybe
like,
not right now.
Yeah, like, do you want to restart? I'm like, no, not right now. But
yeah, I was fascinated by this bootleg thing because we never really got that over here. Besides like some places in New York City, I always had like a lot of the magazines and stuff, but this is like a new territory to me. I didn't know was a thing.
Oh yeah, it was big. And speaking of magazines, I remember Cure the magazine. They're still around. They are still around. Shox isn't. Yeah. But Cure is. Cure used to have a store in LA.
Oh shit.
And
damn, you guys got everything.
Yeah.
I'm over here scraping for Durham Gray bootlegs online.
Yeah, they used to have a store in LA. I want to say it over 2008, 2009. It eventually became like Jungle Second. Like Anime Jungle is one of the stores we had here. But But the Cure store used to like. I remember they used to have events like Kaya was there at some point. I think I want to say fucking Versailles had a thing there. A lot of people had things there. But at that store you could buy official stuff, and that was kind of cool. It was a little more pricier, but it was still easy than going to CG Japan or whatever. But definitely, it's funny because I almost want to mention this as a problem. But access to music, I feel, is always the biggest elephant in the room when it comes to talking about Japanese music.
Especially right now with YouTube.
Access to music in general. Back in
YouTube
the day,
just straight takes down everything now.
Well, YouTube, believe it, I think YouTube has gotten better. YouTube used to be like the Wild West back in the day. Like everything was on YouTube.
It was beautiful.
I think even my channel, like my Weeby channel when I was a kid, like I would upload. Like I was one of the 18 million uploads of like the Beast of Blood and like whatever else. Like,
Good choice.
Because Beast of Blood I know was definitely up there, but and you would look at Beast of Blood, Malice Miser, and you come up with like 30 results, and none of them would be like official. It would all just be like people like me.
Have like a low quality picture.
Yeah.
And a song.
240p, quality.
Yeah.
But
I miss the Wild West of YouTube. That shit was so good.
Then they got really strict, and now it's kind of eased up a little. But even still, like, how much it annoys me? And okay, now YouTube and MVs are an odd thing because whenever I bring this up, I get this very real answer. And by the way, I bring it up to Japanese, middleman or like record people or overseas people. They have a very real, legit response, but it still strikes me as like, but it's different here. Anyways, the response is the MVs even are marketable in Japan. Like those are sold. Like the DVD singles are a thing when you buy just the MV for like $15, and obviously that's different here.
That's why they have like all those words all over the.
It annoys the fuck out of me.
You mean like the fucking like advertisements?
Basically?
No, like the date or where they get
nuts.
it.
No, oh my god, like because
the image in the corner of their like cover.
Yeah, I saw this one the other day. I can't remember where it was, but like it took up like a good third of the screen. Yes. It was just the album cover. Like, bro, like I can understand maybe a little bit of a corner. Or like at the beginning or at the end, but like I want to see the video.
I know, and obviously it's like
that's us though. That's us. We're just like, come on, let's just. It's there. Let me see it.
Buy the DVD single. Buy the MV collection. Buy the special edition.
I would if I could. I got to import and pay up the butt for fucking import fees.
Yeah, and then the other problem is, and this is the one that bothers me the most. This actually bothers me the most in general, is that a lot of artists. And this isn't just VK only, but a lot of the smaller artists, some of them do it out of necessity, so I feel bad ragging on them about it. But a lot of times they'll release a thing that is like meant to be limited. Like, oh, we printed up 300 of these, we're only selling at 2 lives. It's like, come get them.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Like,
you think that's cool? I don't think that's cool.
I'm torn on it because like if you're like a, it's for the fans, right? Like the diehard. It's not for like the casual listener that just listens to that stuff, like that band, like a little bit. It's for like the people that get all the one man and stuff. So I don't know. I'm torn on it because like at the same point, like I would still like to kind of listen to it, but like there's people that are that dedicated, throw them something they'll really appreciate. So I don't know.
I think it's if it's just like an item or a video maybe, but if it's a different version of a song or something or a new song, that would piss me off because then I can't hear it.
There's this is mild. It's actually decently off topic, but I only because this person is the most extreme. But I've seen it in the VK scene in a smaller scale. There's this idol, really indie idol who manages her own stuff. Her name's Hanako-san. She pretends she's a ghost, like whatever. Anyway, all of her releases are like this. She only prints up like 100 to 300 copies, and she sells them only their lives. But she's kind of affluent in the Western Idol scene, and she knows about the sites that upload things, for download. So she gets on people's cases when she finds her stuff uploaded, and she'll start naming some of the fans she knows personally who bought the CD and start calling out who's the one who uploaded this, who's the one.
Oh no!
And basically they're shaming people, and I'm like, maybe put that for sale. Because there's people and there's lots of people who are not fans of her anymore because of this.
Because of it, yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's It's like literally nobody can listen to your music because it's like either go to her concerts in Japan, maybe she'll have one in the US and it'll be on the West Coast. Go to a concert or pay through the ass for like on an auction site like $300, $400 for a $10 CD she sold at her concert. And it's like, for what? It's like literally nobody can listen to your music. Like, period. If she had it her way, nobody would hear her music except for 300 people a song.
Are either of you familiar with Midori?
Midori, is that
Midori, like Midori Pop?
It's like it's kind of like this like weird punk pop kind of. I can't describe it. It's like,
I know what you're talking about. She does like really loud vocals, really screamy.
Yeah, I love her, but kind of similar to what we're talking about is she did like DJ Mariko recently, and you can't get like copies of her stuff anywhere except for like the few stuff that's on her YouTube channel, I believe. Unless it's like this 1 of 100 cassette tape that's like impossible to get.
Oh my god!
And it's like I would love to listen to your new album, but I can't get that 1 of 100 cassette tape that's on this like oh god, what's like the Bandcamp?
Yeah,
Bandcamp, that's what it's called. On this Bandcamp, like I can't listen to it. Sorry, hon.
No, that I have a band I used to listen to all the time, and they're American. They used to only release stuff on cassette tape. I hated that so much.
Sounds really strange.
Yeah, I'm like, I know it's kind of trendy to do that, but that's literally the worst medium you can release it on. Like, literally the worst modern medium. And it's like, it sounds like shit. Even if I rip it to like an MP3 or some bullshit, it'll still sound like crap. All hissy in the background and everything. But yeah. That almost feels like that hasn't changed. That, like, if anything, the music was more accessible back in the day. VK was a lot more popular when I was younger, I think.
Yeah, I think it's been like, it was kind of like the K-pop of its time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. But now I can almost argue it's more accessible because it's like the streaming stuff. Like maybe a couple years ago, there wasn't much on the streaming services, but this past year or two,
yeah, that has
coming over like Apple Music.
Yeah,
more records that have their own YouTubes are actually putting the bands up.
But
so that's nice.
Yeah, I said like up to a year or two was dying, but like I think it's having a resurgence to get accessibility here. Like I think yesterday or today, Lark and CL released all of their stuff on streaming services.
Oh yeah, X Japan, like well, this is kind of a topic, but about a month ago, Johnny's, the idols group, the male idol group, released all their MVs on YouTube. But I was so obsessed with that, I didn't even notice that 2 weeks later, about a month ago now, 2 weeks later, X Japan released all their videos onto YouTube, like, in HD quality. And I was like,
all of them? I only saw 2.
Oh, really? It was just 2? Maybe I got too excited.
I hope I'm wrong. I want to see all of them.
Maybe I got excited because I downloaded. To be fair, I downloaded a couple only because the ones I actually needed. But now I feel kind of like maybe I'm jumping the gun here. But they uploaded things, and like once again, like believe it or not, these things were never available officially. If you ever watched like an X Japan video, 99% of the chances are you're watching it on a random guy's channel that just uploaded it.
Yeah, I was so thrilled when I saw this uploaded. I hope you're right, and the rest of them are up there too. But I saw Endless Rain and Sadistic Desires. And I was thrilled to be able to watch those in like actual quality.
Oh, I hope it's all of them. Well, anyways, I think it is. I want to say it's all of them because I could have sworn I saw Joker there as well. But somebody correct me if I'm wrong, one way or the other. Like, if I feel like editing this on YouTube for YouTube later on, I'll put a big old like he was wrong or he was right thing somewhere there. And also earlier this year, or it might have been late last year, Bucktick put all of their stuff up.
Yes. Yes.
So there are things like that. I do feel it's worth acknowledging. But then there's fucking things like Lunacy, who put up their MVs for like 24 hours. And I'm like, you're Lunacy. Why are you doing this? Like, you're not this tiny indie band. And they're like, and it was funny because the first time it happened, I was stupid. I didn't realize what it was. Like, because I didn't bother reading what the description was. I just like, oh, they have a new MV. It's a good song. Then it's gone, and I'm like, why is it gone? They're like, oh,
it's not just them. It's like a thing right now.
No,
I didn't know that.
Other people that I listen to do that. They'll put the full version up, and it'll be like only for 24 hours, and then it disappears.
That's weird.
But that's the kind of thing small artists
so
do.
Irritating.
In my opinion, like, don't get me wrong, there's others besides Lunacy that are big, but that's usually the kind of thing indie people do. And I'm like, why the fuck is Lunacy doing
it right now?
What's the point? I don't understand, because like it's gonna get downloaded and re-uploaded regardless.
Well, yeah, it's the idea, like what I said earlier, where it's like you can watch it full, but only now, and then ideally in their mind, it'll never be on the internet ever again. But of course, it will be. But they think it won't be, and so they could sell it. It's annoying. It's one of the I forgot all about that. That wasn't even in the notes. I just remember that right now because that happened to me like 2 times. Like I think it was actually last year with Lunacy. It actually turned me off of Lunacy for a while. I don't know if they released anything at all this year, but it turned me off of Lunacy last year because I was like, I can't get into them when they're doing crap like this.
I think they have a new album this month.
Yeah, that's it too.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of new albums, what changed in 2009 or what hasn't changed? I mentioned earlier that in 2010 we went to go. We as in like the people I went to go be part of the Born to Be Free music video. The year before, actually, I think it was 2008, but a while before that, we were at Hollywood and Highland when it was brand new back then, and we were there for the filming of Jade. Both of these songs, along with a song called IV, which is from the Saw 4 soundtrack, which I think also had an MV film somewhere, which I wasn't in.
Yeah.
But those 3 songs were made around the time we're talking, 2008, 2010. And those are all supposed to be on the new album that is still not out 10 years later. More than 10 years.
The new album.
I want to say I feel bad for Yoshiki because all the fans harass him about it, but it's also like he brought it upon himself. But I saw him speak in Miami. It was unrelated to the Extra Pan almost entirely, honestly. It was just about like him and like his piano career and all that, right? And then there's someone in the crowd's like, "Hey, where's the new album?" And he just looked so upset and like heartbroken. I felt bad for him. I wanted to be like, "Why? Like, don't ask that here. Come on, this is shitpost, right?" But he brought it upon himself, so I also was like, "Yeah, go in on him." But
I'll put a link in the description below. We did a podcast a while back on metal in the 80s, and we got really off topic talking about Yoshiki, like me and a friend of mine, and we were supposed to be talking about metal. We weren't talking about like VK, but we of course going to talk about X anyway, and we definitely were talking about new stuff. We went to this huge thing because he goes on about his piano music. First of all, he's been doing projects since X Japan. Like Violet UK, I can't remember the name of that group. They never released anything either. Like they were like trudging along for like years, and then one of the new X Japan songs is one of those songs recycled. And I'm like, dude, okay, my honest opinion is he's had massive writer's block. He had like 30 or 40 amazing songs in him, and he's written them, and that's it. Yeah, that's the way I feel. Like he had like this musical genius that was super finite. That was like, you know, he wrote his 30. Some of them were like heated compositions. I don't even know how many. I don't want to do the math top right now, but he wrote about 30 good songs. And then now he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm done. I'll just keep pretending I have another album's worth of material to go."
Either
that or he's so perfectionistic that he just can't put anything out.
I think it's both. I think it's a little bit of both because my kind of theory is because he's even made some sort of statement. He's like, "I'll release the album. It's ready. I'll release it when the time is ready," which is the most vague thing you could say. It's like, what does that mean? Like, at what time is the okay time it is?
Toshi has released like 2 albums since then. But go on.
Yeah, I feel like that there's so much hype, like anticipation for this album that it will never be able to live up to the amount of expectation it has. So he doesn't want to deal with the backlash because no matter what he does, he's screwed. Because no matter what he releases, no one will be happy.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. Like, it's not going to get any better. It's like, just pull the Band-Aid off and throw it out there. It's like every year it's going to be like, "Oh, we waited 14 years for this. We waited 15 years for this." If anything, it's better well, first of all, it would have been better to release like in 2012. I think was one of the first release dates that they were really talking about. I don't know. It's ridiculous. And I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan. Born to Be Free is okay, but it's kind of a throwaway song. I'm not a fan of any of those songs.
It's a good song, but it's not like spectacular or like impressive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I like listening to it, but it's not like I'm not awestruck by like I would be like a more traditional, I guess, X Japan song. I don't know how to describe it.
And X Japan is known for their ballads, and I can't even remember Jade right now. I've heard it a lot. I was there. I fucking heard them play it like 8 times that night.
Yeah, I can like hear it in my head right now.
I can't hear it, but like I think of Say Anything, can think of like Endless Rain, can think of like, you know, the other more unquestionably better ballads they've done, and I'm just like, oh, I can remember those, but I can't remember Jade. I don't know. And it doesn't help, in my opinion. This is kind of going a little off topic here, but I just want to rag on Yoshiki a bit more since we're already doing it. it doesn't help that X Japan didn't have a lot of music out before. They have such a small musical library.
Yeah, they do.
Really, really tiny musical library when it comes down to it. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. They've only recorded like 30 songs or so.
Yeah. Then the thing that I also like, there's only 4 albums, and I was trying to complete my physical copies. And when I was in Japan, I easily picked up Blue Blood and Jealousy, right?
Jealousy, yeah.
The other ones impossible to find anywhere. New, used, I can't find them. They're not even on the streaming services. I don't know. Is there something I'm missing here? Or why is half of the discography just vanished off the earth?
It's funny you mentioned that because those 2 albums are the ones that are released through different labels. Like the first one was definitely released through an independent label. I can't remember the name, Vanishing Visions. Thankfully, Thankfully, I actually own every single X Japan release, except for I don't know if they released anything in 2000. I don't think any of those CDs have gotten official releases. But I own their whole discography through that thing, the service I mentioned earlier, where I get the CDs through a box or whatever. Like I have all their singles and all their albums. Well, they're 4 albums, but so yeah.
You say all as if it's a big number.
I know. and then Dahlia, I think, was released not independently, but was released through like Yoshiki or whatever, like through whatever his label was, if I'm not mistaken. And Dahlia is what the new album is probably could have been and what it's going to be, because Dahlia was literally an album that was recorded over like 5 years. If you look at the album, all the songs were released as singles before, and then if you read the liner notes, none of it was recorded the same place. It was all recorded over like, this random month we recorded this song, and then we recorded this song like 2 years later, and that was X Japan's last album. It seems to be after Silent Jealousy. Or is it Silent? Yeah, Silent Jealousy is the name of the album. That they could never.
No, I think it's just
Jealousy. The song is Silent Jealousy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I always get those 2 confused. But after Jealousy, it's like they could never release another album. It feels like Guns N' Roses, like the way that they.
Yeah, I can see that. Like I love Yoshiki in a way. Like he's succeeded so much, but like it's so easy to criticize him too. Like I almost feel bad just shitting on him because I respect him, the man, but at the same time, it's just he can only just let something slide for so long.
And I bring this up because it's really on topic. In 2009, I already mentioned like X Japan was back. They were doing these new music videos in LA. I had met Yoshiki the very first time in my life. I met him at a party a friend of mine took me to, in like 2007. And it was a party I want to say for that JRock Revolution thing or something like that. I don't remember the exact time frame. It was for some JRock party that we were doing back in the day, and he was there, and he was nice. And I don't want to say but he was so much like a rock star. He was so absent-minded. He had all these younger girls kind of hanging around him. I don't think not in that way, but I think he surrounds himself with younger pretty girls, because one of them was definitely his handler, but she was my age at the time, because she was the one who kept pulling him away. In not a rude way, but you're done here, the way anyone does for a famous person. They're okay.
I've experienced with them too.
They're she kind of just nicely pulls him slightly or taps him on the shoulder. And it's he knows that it's okay, I'm done with you, But anyway, he surrounds himself with young pretty women, and then he kind of just lives off of his which isn't bad.
But, if I could do it, I'd do
exactly.
It
I can't.
Nothing wrong with it, honestly.
I can't say that because I wouldn't fucking wish for that. And if I had that right now, I wouldn't be on this podcast. I'd be just sitting in my chair, my young hot secretaries are on me or whatever. That sounds terrible. Don't quote me on that. But I said that. I said that way too weirdly.
Anyway.
Oh yeah, you too. Okay, that's actually. I'm not gonna lie. I've been ragging on Yoshiki a lot lately, and Shiro Phantom mentioned the thing that he's doing a YouTube thing, and that's what actually brought a lot of this up. Because
the YouTube original?
Yeah, I don't know if I can saw the press release. Let me see if I can find it real fast. The press release actually mentioned the groups that got not pushed over, but the groups that got who were in thoughts to do one, but it's Yoshiki instead. And the names that they mentioned were dude, I would have rather have seen that. I feel we know Yoshiki's story.
Yeah, pull up that list, bro. I need to hear that.
Hold on.
I'm excited. I'm kind of excited for the YouTube original. I'm not gonna lie. Just slap up all this shit he releases like a dog at the watering bowl. But then
okay,
we've always seen the movie We Are X. What else could I have done? I need to know.
Shit, I can't find it. I'm still looking. Anyway, I'm gonna keep looking for that. I don't multitask well, so I'm trying to find it in the downtime. But I might have deleted it, but I can log into my actual work email, A to J email. Which just also double as a work email because I don't have another website email, so I use that like whenever I look professional, no matter what. But that's actually what made me start thinking about it. I'm like, dude, it's like Yoshiki. He's amazing, he's good and whatever, don't get me wrong, but he literally hasn't done anything noteworthy in 20 years. Probably arguably more than that now. He hasn't done anything noteworthy, and I also...
Well, I mean, what do you mean by noteworthy? Because, like, you could argue that, like, his non-Visual Kei Rockstar stuff, like him collaborating with all these other people in Hollywood, like that's debatably notable.
I don't know. That kind of just feels like it goes back to what I said earlier. Like he just living the rockstar life, hobnobbing with people famous, and getting his sweater caught up or his scarf caught up with the Queen, partying it with Marilyn Manson.
Better than what he could be doing.
It's just like I don't know. It's just like I don't know. I just he could be doing so much more. Like I said, I honestly do think. Even though the other things do have merit, like he doesn't want to release it because there'll definitely be a backlash. Doesn't want to release it because he feels it's not ready or whatever. But I really do think it's what I said. It's like, and what I also find weird is nothing's been leaked. That always throws us for a loop. When Guns N' Roses working on when anyone's working on any album, and I know it's Japan and things are different, but he's recording it all in LA. When Guns N' Roses was doing their album. And it was taking just as long. That album was on the internet long before, like years before it actually got released in like many demo versions. I just find it so weird that all this material that's written and recorded for X Japan has not been leaked. I'm like, who's heard these other 9 songs? And we don't even know that Jade and Born to Be Free and Ivy are going to be on the album. We just all assume they will be.
I think he said somewhere along there would be, along with like an English version of Rusty Now.
I mean,
he
I
kind
do
of
the Rusty thing.
He kind of just changes his mind whenever. So like maybe we were all wrong, but like he said it at one point. I read it somewhere.
Like mind you, Ivy topically is its own song, but that was literally written as a theme for Saw 4, hence Ivy. So I just find that funny. That song's being reused. Period. Like that song probably shouldn't, unless it's a bonus track. I almost feel like that shouldn't be on the album. But for example, say he recorded 7 of the songs. Should Jade and Born to Be Free be on there if they're 10 years older? It's like...
Newer. They're not on an album yet. They're just singles. Might as well just slap them on there.
I don't know. Anyway, let's stop bragging to Yoshiki. I can do this all night. Like I said, that other podcast
Can we
did...
talk?
Huh?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You were going to say something. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, can we talk about bands that were around then and still making music now?
Yeah, that's actually going to move on to.
Like a few in mind.
Because I had a lot more to talk about there, and I just feel like I shouldn't have brought up Yoshiki. I should just no, this is a Yo Noshiki hour. Because I should just do a podcast on it. That's what I want to do. I'm going to do one on here.
We were already talking about it before we even started.
Exactly.
So I'm pretty sure we can just keep going and going and going and going.
Oh, real talk though. My last thing I will, because I want to leave on a positive. Check out the X Japan. What's that movie called? The X Japan movie. We Are X.
We Are X. Yeah,
it's a really good movie. I do recommend it. And also like it puts a lot of light in Yoshiki's life. There's all this stuff that is mentioned in there. It's really good. Check it out. That's amazing.
All right, I'm gonna show real fast. You should totally check out my coverage of him in Miami on Treasure Box Press.
Oh, okay.
No, I got the shilling out. We'll keep going.
Put a link.
Oh, and also I will say this real fast one last time. It is really important to talk about X Japan because like what people like to say, like people say that Visual Kei started with X Japan. No, Visual Kei started with X Japan no matter which one to look at, because the term comes literally from them. Like, the crime of psychedelics, crime of visual shock. It literally comes from X Japan. Literally.
Yeah, it's from Hide and Visual Kei Oyaji-san, right?
Yeah, so it literally is like an X Japan thing. And what I love about Yoshiki, because I also want to leave it more positive, because last time people did see our thing and we got a lot of dislikes.
Oh no!
I do want to leave it more positive. I will admit, because this is a problem that we're going to talk about later, is that Yoshiki to this day, if you ask him, can you tell us about like what kind of music you do, what kind of music X Japan does, he'll still say Visual Kei. which is something that like I think a lot of bands have problems saying today for reasons that I don't even know. But he'll
They
still
don't
say
like
Visual
to call
Kei.
themselves that.
Yeah, that we'll save that topic for Visual Kei Dead, because people say no, but then every band you ask is like, we're not Visual Kei, you know. Anyway, go on. I almost called you Yoshiki. Go on, Rachel.
What an odd compliment. I don't know, I was thinking, like, groups that we listened to then that still make music, that never really stopped, and, like, how different they are now. When you mentioned Bucktick earlier.
Oh, yeah,
if you
Bucktick.
listen to, like, the newer songs, I love them, honestly. They're definitely nothing like they used to be. But I think they're really interesting, and I think that it's really cool that they're just continuously making music.
Yeah, with barring, like, you know, just brief hiatuses and here and there. Not even hiatuses,
Yeah.
but the breaks.
They never disbanded.
Yeah, they never disbanded. No members left. I believe no members left. At least their recorded days. Their recorded days, so I don't know.
He fought through, like, this crazy illness. I don't remember what it was, that had a, 20% survival chance? Mm-hmm. And here he is, still singing, and, like, dude, that's metal. I think it was within 6 months after he was cured, he started singing again. And
yeah, I don't know much about Bucktick, but I
crazy.
respect the hell out of them if they're still on that grind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're still going. Yeah.
Like.
Love their music
I keep
too.
want to call you Yoshiki. Like Rachel said, their older music is definitely way different. Actually, I love their older stuff better. I don't really.
I need my
understand them now.
sunglasses if you're gonna call me that.
But you need your sunglasses. You need to sit like sinking in your chair because he always like sinks into the chair really deep. I'm like, does that chair have like a? Does he make all of his chairs a little back that he can sink into? Because it always feels like he's just sinking further into himself. Sorry, it's not an acronym anymore. But another good band. Oh shit! I forgot what I was gonna say. Shit.
Bucktick. That's what we were talking about.
I know. I was gonna move on to another good one. Well, Ancafe still around, but they did have a long hiatus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also never liked Ancafe to begin with.
Yeah.
But
they're here.
Ancafe's during the period we're talking about, 2009, Ancafe was in that period where they had not Bo that everyone lost their shit about. Like, oh, Bo is gone. Like, dude, Bo was there for like a couple years. Just like, get over it.
Most of the people that I knew that liked that group only liked it for Bo.
Me too.
And so I was just like, okay.
Can we talk about Miyabi for a minute then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's a good one too.
No, I have a weird thing about Miyabi. First of all, have you met him, Dangelo?
No, I haven't.
I had the pleasure of meeting him before one of his concerts and interviewing him, separately. But I'll never forget, and I will say this right now, I'll never forget meeting him before. And like, we went to the rehearsal space, me and one of the people I was there with. And he's like, "Oh, hey, like, hi, I'm Miyavi." And that sounds like a basic thing, but the way he said it, the casualness how he said it with his guitar, like he had his guitar on this really tiny like rehearsal space room, it was so ridiculously down to earth. And he even asked if he wanted a seat, and he wanted to make like one of his managers move because like there were so little seats there. Well, not for me because I was there with the people with me was a girl, and he wanted to like sit her down where his manager was. And
that's sweet of him.
Yeah, and I was like, no, we're fine. We're gonna just take a few pictures here. But he is like so ridiculously down to earth, and people say that about everyone.
Heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah, people say that about everyone, and don't get me wrong, it usually is true. Like I mentioned this on, I don't know what podcast it was or whatever it was, but I've thankfully not had to deal with like egos whenever we interview like big names. But he definitely is the complete reverse. It almost feels like he shouldn't be so humble. I'm like, dude, you're Miyavi. Like, you know, have some, like, you know,
be a star, be yourself.
Yeah, like get some of the Yoshiki in you.
Yeah, like behind the scenes, you always hear stuff about certain people. And you're like, I don't know, but I've never ever heard anyone ever even have a glimpse of something bad to say about Miyavi. Everyone says he's so like gentlemanly and down to earth and nice and polite.
I don't know if I should really tell the story, but when we went to go see him live a second time, like more recently, we went to go eat in this restaurant that's like connected to the venue, and while we were in there, Yoshiki's like family went in to get food too, and I knew it was them because like they came in.
You
with,
mean
like,
Miyavi?
Miyavi. I'm sorry. I want to call everyone Yoshiki.
I didn't catch it either.
I'm glad you caught it, because I would never have caught it, and somebody on YouTube or somebody would have been like, wait, who's he talking about? But yeah, Miyavi. Miyavi's family came in, and I recognize. I probably wouldn't recognize the family, to be honest, but they were there with like the manager that I had met before. I was like, oh, that must be his family. And anyways, they came in and they ate. And it was kind of like, oh, how awkward reading with Miyavi's family. But then Miyavi showed up. And then Miyavi's just like legit, like just a normal like family guy, checking in on his kids and his wife or whatever, like while they're eating. They share like everything and they knew where to go. Then he just takes off. And it was just like, once again, that's normal. Yeah, it should be normal. But it's like, you don't see that kind of stuff. It's just like, dude, it's like he's a person. A normal, everyday person.
All the Ichihara seem so sweet.
But anyway.
I always hear stuff about how cute he is around his kids and his wife. It's just cute. It's all around just sweet.
Yeah, it was cute.
It makes you happy.
They sat right next to us. I'm like, oh, look how cute his kids are. But it was kind of awkward. It's like, stop looking at his kids. It's like, eat your food. Like, eat your food. Let's get out of here. Because I was there with other people too. I'm like, just eat, get the hell out of here. But and I also didn't want to talk. Yeah, I didn't want to talk to the manager guy because I was afraid that he might introduce us to the family. I didn't want to interrupt their like. They were clearly just there to eat. Yeah. I didn't want to like interrupt, so I was like, and like the manager actually has a bit more of an ego than Miyavi has the ego Miyavi doesn't, because I've met him many times and he always pretends like it's the first time we met. But then again, he probably meets tons of people. But I'm like, I'm not a very forgettable guy. I'm a pretty big guy all around, so it's like, like you would think you'd remember me, the big obnoxious guy. But anyway, I had a point to Miyavi. Oh yeah, his style has changed big time though.
Yeah, it's definitely more like, I don't want to say EDM, but
it has a world music feel to it too. Like he includes all these elements and things. I'm not gonna lie, even though I just praised him, I'm not a big fan of modern Miyavi. I'm really not, and I almost feel bad saying that.
It's a hit or miss.
Other way, where I never really liked early Miyavi, and really? I'm starting to like the new stuff. I'm starting to like the new stuff a lot. Yeah, like it's not my favorite thing. But the fact that he has the skills to be able to perform any of those songs that's incredible to me. I can like barely play anything on my guitar. So I mean, in fact, he just goes nuts. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his earlier work. Nobody really talks about this, but his like first couple of albums were almost all acoustic. It was really weird. It was like a lot of acoustic guitars, a lot of like weird ways to play them, weird tempos, like weird structures. But I loved his stuff, and I don't know, and he was also like very pioneering in the VK scene. Like there was a lot of like he did a lot of fan service. Everyone always quotes these things when he would kiss like his band members or whatever. And I remember watching some of his concerts where he'd have like 2 drummers and like like this huge ass band that was not necessary for the music he was playing. And it reminded me a bit like the way Hawkwind, probably don't know who Hawkwind is but me, but the way Hawkwind would make up some of their bands with like overcompensating for like some of their styles. But I will say, when one of the biggest shifts when he got married, do you guys remember when he got married, which by the way is before 2009 if I'm not mistaken, but do you remember when the announcement came out?
No.
I know you're with like what PCS, right? That's about it.
No, when the announcement came out that he got married, pretty much, because I was pretty big in this like the fandom at the time, and I remember like every fangirl was like heartbroken. A friend of mine, legitimately, I've said this before in the past, she wrote a post on like MySpace, because this is like that time,
classic,
and she made a post where she was all like, I knew this was ridiculous to like ever thought of, but now that he's getting married, I feel like I can never listen to him again because he crushed my dream of one day seeing me at a concert and falling in love with me and marrying me. And she
we kind of laugh about it, but like that's a real thing. That's a big selling feature in a lot of
to be kind of fair. Yeah, to be kind of fair.
The original One Direction fanfic.
To be kind of fair, the second half of it was a bit more legit in describing it. She's all like, as far as I know, most of his fans live for that dream, and by marrying someone else, he just like cut off that part of the dream. And it's funny because it's almost like the flip of like the girl idol thing that everyone rags about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you never really see it for a guy, and it was just like, well, at least I never do. And that always sticks with me was the legion of like, and to be fair, I don't know how it was in Japan. And then everybody was talking all this shit because if I'm not mistaken, she was pregnant, and then they kind of like got married or something like that. and they're like, "Oh, she trapped him." Like, actually, they did time frame because I think the oldest kid isn't that old, so the time frame might have been around this time actually. But it doesn't matter. Point is, I remember. I just remember that was a lot of. That was a big thing, and that kind of did also. I don't know if it was because he was a family man now, but that also was around the time his music style changed, like the around 2009 2010 ish.
It could just be like his taste in music shifted, which is very often.
But
or if you get bored playing something so often, you kind of want to change it up.
I have this in the notes. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's funny because I haven't actually been reading the notes. I think I actually wrote all those notes for nothing because I didn't say most of it so far. But one of the things I do find kind of odd is that he doesn't play his old material anymore, like at all.
No.
Like
I never thought about that. It's a good point.
At all, and like it's weird. It's so weird. But you get people to this day who will go to his concerts, kind of expecting it, and
that's weird.
And kind of like, don't get me wrong, usually they still come away like, I guess it was still okay, and they don't really like get too upset by it. But they'll also be like, I didn't recognize a single song he played. And his performances like these days like lean so much on his new albums. Like, and I don't mean to say like but I mean everyone should do this. But he's a legit kind of active artist that he releases an album and like 4 or 5 of the songs are on the set list, which is like kind of unusual for a group or an artist in his case that has such a long, vast catalog, and then he'll just straight up ignore everything like from like before the Samurai sessions and all that stuff. It's just insane. If you're lucky, you might get something in the encore, like one song. But I just find that so weird. But he also like kind of rides on that fame, and I'm just like, I don't know if he does intentionally because he has no saying in his PR stuff. But I always find it so odd that like a decent amount of people who go to see it, in my experience, who go to see his shows, still expect VK Miyavi. To be fair, he is not like lying about it, because we interviewed him and he did mention how hard it is because like people know him from his VK days, and now he's doing something different, and it's like it's hard to bridge that gap and like to tell people about it, but it's still like.
I always think of it as like he's like rebooted himself, like Miyavi 2.0.
Yeah,
I always think of it as like 2 different people.
Well, I remember like. And it's funny because it was the concert that we interviewed him at, and he had another vocalist there, and it was just so awkward. I'm like, he's playing guitar, but there's this other guy doing like 90% of the singing, and it was just so unusual. I remember they did a POD cover. I don't know if you ever heard like, I don't know if he recorded that actually, so I don't know if it was that unusual. This might have been on the album I just never heard. We did a cover of "Youth of the Nation." I don't know if that's the song's actually called, the POD song, like the we are, the Youth of the Nation, whatever the fuck that chorus goes. I can't sing to save my life anyway, so YouTube wouldn't.
I think he gets a lot of other people to sing in a lot of his songs.
Yeah, to be fair, like
recent,
kind of thing, but it was still unusual to see because like literally he's center stage with his guitar and he does have a mic, but usually there'll be someone else to the side doing the actual singing, and I find that odd. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
I think it's odd too, but like I don't know. I think that's cool too. Like it's something different.
It's like when you.
I don't know how recent it was, but he put out a song that I actually did kind of like, and it was with a singer that I like named Kafka. And I was just kind of surprised because I was listening to it and I'm just like, I thought this said it was a Miyavi song, and then I looked at the thing and was like, why is she singing? And I was just all kinds of confused, and then I kind of thought about it. Like, no, a lot of his songs don't really have him singing anymore.
To be fair, like there's. Oh man, I'm dying. To be fair, there's a piece of my voice isn't going now. I think my voice will be gone tomorrow. To be fair, there's artists like Yngwie Malmsteen. I can't think of it. He's the only one that comes to mind. But there's artists like Yngwie Malmsteen who go on tour on their name. But now he sings because that's a whole other story. But there are for many years he didn't, and then like he'd have a vocalist who would do the actual lyrics, and he just play guitar. So there is it's not like Miyavi's odd in doing that. It's odd.
I also don't think it's weird. I think it's interesting.
The part that I think is weird is like once again to use the Yngwie Malmsteen thing, he didn't sing vocals on his early albums or whatever, or like most of his career, but Miyavi did. Miyavi like has like this huge catalog where he was like the vocalist. So that's the part where I'm like, wait, what? I don't know. I love Miyavi though.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And I respect the hell out of him.
And I also want to say, like, even though I didn't personally like his music. I don't think it's bad, his new music, at all.
No, it's not.
It's not Jade. It's not Born to Be Free, where I feel like they're not good songs. They're good songs. They're just not my songs. What else is like
another group that honestly is just never gone away, and I love them for it. Is I actually think they're getting more popular now, which is really cool. Golden Bomber. I know they're technically not.
Fuck yeah.
They're technically not, but I love them, and they just put out a song that's definitely for me right now. And it's just about how the Benmen have issues with their necks from headbanging too hard, and issues with their wrist from fist pumping too hard. And
Golden Bomber's so fucking great. We just had like
I love them.
and we just like we'll just binge Golden Bomber for hours.
Yes,
We just
love that.
We love it. And then I read this interview with Hakue in his magazine. He's like co-editor of now recently, and he's talking about someone asked him something along the lines of about how Visual Kei is dying, and quote, right? And he's bringing up that actually there's like he's like hope in these like new bands and there's some revival. He brought up Golden Bomber as like something that's really bringing back Visual Kei to the mainstream, which is the ultimate irony because like they're almost like a parody of Visual Kei. It's like what he's talking is the savior of Visual Kei. I love it. I love it. It's like layers of memes and spice. I love it. It's so good. It's so spicy.
I just realized
I really like them, and I actually, as of the last couple years, I've been getting a couple people into them, like pretty hardcore, where they just listen to them on their own now, and I'm just like,
yeah, me too. I have this one buddy that like he watches some anime and stuff, but like he's just like a hillbilly electrician, right? He came over the other day, and he's like, he came over,
cable guy, and he was going.
That's like literally what we call him. Then we call him the electrician.
The electrician. Oh my god.
He just shows up, and he's like, I'm gonna be honest. I think the guy with the face paint is my favorite. Yeah, he's like, I think this is my favorite thing we listen to when we come over here, D'Angelo.
Love that. That's actually how I got my bestie into it. I randomly played it and I was like, wait, have I never showed you this? And then they got really attached to Kenji, and it's like, sure, if that's
the ultimate irony is the parody of Visual Kei is the savior of it. It's so beautiful.
The only one who actually plays instruments or sings is the lead singer. Everyone else is just air and messing around. Yeah, no, they're an air group.
Oh yeah. I wish I had that gig so bad. Like, I can't play shit. I can't sing. I can't really play that well. I'm trying to learn. I'm not very good at it. But like that is like the ultimate fantasy, right? And I could be like, wait. So I get to have all of that, and I don't really got to do shit except be funny.
Their concerts are so funny to watch. Cause
I want to go to one so bad.
Same.
The editor in chief of JRock Express, she's telling me about how she got to see it once in Japan. I'm so jealous. I want to go so bad.
There was one. I don't remember how long ago. Is this rando concert they did, and they had this really, really long countdown with numbers on the screen and everything. So everyone was getting hype and getting like excited, and it was a long countdown. It was like plus 20 minutes, I think. And then they finally get to 10. They all start screaming, and they come on to the stage, and they sing for 8 seconds, and then run off stage.
Oh, that was like a sort of ball or something, right?
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember
the Sunshine
that.
Plaza one.
It was great.
Oh, God.
You guys waited all that time.
My biggest mistake when I was in Japan for a couple months is I saw a pillow in Osaka, and it was just Kenji's face. I was like, I'll come back and buy that, right? And I totally forgot it. And as I was flying back, I was like, I need a pillow right now, and it came back to me. I still regret it. I want that pillow so bad. If someone has that pillow out there, like, hook me up. I need that pillow.
Me too, if you have a couple.
So that's actually a kind of perfect segue. I was thinking like, we should probably change topics. I blame Yoshiki about all that, but the long part of the topic there. I thought what is Visual Kei Dead would be the next thing. So let's talk real fast about what brought VK to today. And Golden Bomber obviously is a big one.
I love him.
It's funny because I didn't know much about Golden Bomber. I didn't actually understand that they were like meant to be. I mean, clearly they're meant to be a parody. I shouldn't say that, but I didn't quite look at them like it wasn't until this second that I knew that they didn't play their instruments.
They're an air group, yeah.
Like, I didn't realize that they were that much of like a joke. No offense, they were that much of a joke.
That's
their whole thing.
Yeah, that's what
That's their whole thing.
But I remember talking about them in some of our VK panels, like some of the older ones, and I was like, and people would be like, they're not. I think even Rachel's been one of the ones who's been like, they're not actual VK, and then got my case. I think you were actually one of the first ones who like, no, I think you were there when the last times I ever talked about them at a VK panel.
Because I did probably mention to you that they're more of a parody group than anything, but I do group them in with Visual Kei because that's what they are, a parody of. So I love them. They're great. A+. I'm glad you like them.
It's funny because next topic we're talking about is what brought VK today, of course. But it's funny because one of the things I think that needs to be talked about is like how there's a lot more like VK groups coming again.
Over to the US?
Yeah, but
I
mean, you got the Duran Grays, you got the Miyavis, you got the Hides.
I'm gonna show off a little bit.
Who were all doing their solo shows and stuff.
But
then you also got like the smaller groups. Oh yeah, you went to Duran Gray, I forgot.
Yeah, don't rub it in. Keep that away from me, don't rub it in.
Hey, you know what? If it helps you feel any better, I was at the Sacramento showing and I was within the first 10-15 people in line, and we still didn't get merch because LA
bought it all.
So we didn't get any of it.
When I saw the Gazette in New York City, that's what happened too.
But to make up for it, when they came 2016, I think before that big gap, I actually caught Shinya's drum.
Oh fuck yeah!
I should have.
Yeah, that guy's
all banged up, and
I should have beat you up for that.
No, it was great. It landed in my hood, and I straight thought someone threw a water bottle at me, and I got so pissed. I grabbed the damn thing, and I was about to toss it back, and I was just like...
I should have beat you up for it because I was at the concert too, and we hung out before and after the show. I should have beat you up for it. That's my big regret in life. I'm gonna beat you up for it later. Don't worry.
I'll beat you with the stick.
Manuel, you know, like Pleiades, he's been on here before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time I ever went to like anything JRock related to him or like with him, it was at a con, and Back On was playing, and the drummer threw the drumstick, and I swear he almost roll started me to get that fucking drumstick, and he like has it like up right on top of his computer on the monitor still.
Oh my god!
He always beat my cheeks through that thing.
Oh my god! No.
I didn't catch one this time around. I was way too close because I was like second to rail. So I couldn't catch anything, but it was worth it. It was way worth it. And also I noticed that they're the same drumstick, so I'm like, it's okay. It's all good. I already have one.
I remember there was a Vamp show, and I don't know which one, because Vamps used to come a lot, and I saw Vamps I remember seeing Vamps like 5 or 6 times live over the past years. But there was a Vamp show, and Kaz, the guitarist, was throwing his picks. And I don't know why, but the very first one he threw, and I was towards the front too, so it's kind of an awkward throw. The very first one he threw, he like signaled to me that he was throwing it at me, and he threw it.
Aww.
And dumbass me like bats it back. Like I didn't close my fist, I just batted it back, and it like landed like in the area,
in the middle.
Yeah. So he threw it. TLDR, he threw like 8 or 10 picks, and I'm not exaggerating. At least half of them, he kept trying to throw them at me. And like he got to like, and mind you, like stupid things kept happening. One time it bounced off my head. And the very last one, he signaled to me, and he was gonna like just hand it to me, kinda. And then somebody snatched it, like it was closer. And then he just
poor fool.
And then he kind of just shrugged, looked a little sad, like, oh, I tried.
I had that with LMC when I went. IG signaled for sending me a pic and like threw it right at me, and it was right in front of me, and I was gonna catch it, but this guy next to me just rammed me for it.
No,
and I'll never get that pic.
Oh man, but yeah, that upset me though, because like he legitimately was trying, because like and it just would not happen. No, I don't know if he's still there, Shiro Phantom, but like at that D concert, I actually caught an absurd amount of picks. Oh yeah, I remember that, you bastard. I caught an absurd amount of picks. Because like D would like throw picks at the end of like every song. they'd be like, "I'm done." Bass pick, guitar pick, they would throw their picks, and like,
Ooh, we got one. We got
That's Toru's pick from JRock.
oh my god!
nice.
By the way,
They come a lot. They come a lot.
Those guys are so nice. They're so nice. They're some of the chillest guys I've ever met.
I'll get
I've
back
heard
to
that
my-
too. Yeah.
I'll get back to that story in a second, but like, did we mention that it was like, it was earlier this year, maybe late last year, and kind of a today I learned thing that I learned that it was one OK Rock and not one OK Rock.
Dude, that drives me so fucking nuts. Like, I didn't bring up the band because this was a Visual Kei podcast, but I could just go on and on and on about JRock. Like,
No, it's funny because like even Tiffany, like Tiffany's one of our Japanese members. She goes to Japan all the time. She's like, it's Japanese, and even she no. But my point is, even she didn't know. Like,
oh wow, really?
yeah,
I think unless you listen to them, you don't really know how to say it.
and she was even saying that she kept hearing it on TV, like Japanese TV, and she thought they were just saying it funny, like oh, there's no kana there, so they don't know how to pronounce okay. You know, they thought it was something like that.
I feel like a JRock boomer because I got into like when they were like still relatively small, and so I always thought like, oh, JRock when they came to their first US show in 2013, I was first one there, right? And then once they started getting more popular here, everyone started like, yo, you hear this band One OK Rock? And I was like, dude, get out.
And that was my next thing. That was my next thing.
Get off my lawn.
No one
Fucking Zoomers, get the fuck out of here.
Up until Tiffany, and I think it was Tiffany who made a post, and I learned about it too. It wasn't until Tiffany had said that even I had never in my life heard anyone. And maybe I didn't hear it right.
I didn't know.
But
I don't listen to them.
never heard anyone ever say one OK Rock. Everyone said one OK Rock. Like I think I even saw them. Like I even would see videos of them live, and whoever like the MC was, and it's usually a festival, so they probably didn't know.
Taka himself even says it now when he's over here.
Yeah,
he will go on stage. He says, "We are One OK Rock." He just embraces it.
Yeah, so it's like one OK.
That's cool, yeah.
So like, it is, but it isn't. So like, when people will be like,
Don't
"That's
encourage
One OK
it."
Rock," I wouldn't tell them, "No, you're fucking wrong," but like they're right because he like embraced it. So it's like I lose. I don't. I guess I'm the boomer. I don't know.
Oh anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I realized it wasn't more to my story. I just caught like a bunch of D-pics. That's all I was saying. I was telling that one guy in the chat. I caught like
My last merch. I'm gonna cover my face because I got way too happy in this picture.
what is this?
But
Oh, did I tell you? I lost that checky, and then I found it, and I lost it again forever.
That's so sad.
Yeah, and I'm 90% sure it's lost forever this time. I honestly think, and this sounds really terrible, I honestly think it got thrown away because like it was during a time when I was cleaning a lot of like my paper trash, like my old papers and like guides and things for shows and conventions.
You absolutely.
And there was like a literal mountain of like papers and like things, and I just scooped it up, put it in a trash bag, and dragged it outside, and threw it away. And I didn't recheck it. And I'm 90, and there were checkies in there, because like I used to keep checkies that just look bad. I took not of groups, but like of friends or whatever. And I'm like, why am I keeping this checkie of a really dark, like badly lit Rachel, for bad example? You weren't one of them, but you know what I mean. Where it's like it's a checkie that came out bad, but I took it home anyway. So, so there were checkies even in the trash, and I'm pretty sure that I just threw the Comic Joe one away. R.I.P.
Shake my head.
Yeah.
Shake my head.
Rip.
The pain.
It's
the pain as I wear my tour shirt.
Oh, but yeah, like
I'm so jealous of that guy's hair. Like my hair's like extra fucked up right now because I just didn't bother to even try.
In person, it was amazing.
Literally goals. Literally goals.
I was walking over to him, and my brain was just like, is there someone holding a filter up? What's going on here? Why do you look this nice? Like, I wasn't expecting him to look nice. Like,
yeah, like
I love him, but like, I was so concerned. I was like, whoa, your hair looks perfect. Your skin looks great. You're like, what is going on? I was so shocked. I was just gone.
Oh my god!
It was a great concert though. He needs to come back. Their side should come over now that they're together.
Come to the East Coast. Don't go to LA. Come to the East Coast.
They always come to LA.
Just keep coming to California. It's good.
Yeah, we're good.
Should we move on to the
Yeah, I think we should move on to the dead thing because other stuff. I don't think we need to talk about it. Just Duran Gray. Actually, this kind of ties in. We'll use it as a segue. Duran Gray is another like nicely consistent band. I feel like kind of belongs to the other topic. One of the weird things about Duran Gray is like to this day, there's always the argument if they're VK or not, and almost even bigger because like if you ever go look up, because we do panels at Edoguro, we mentioned that earlier, Rachel and I. But if you ever look up like Edoguro like online, especially the older sites, they'll always pop up. And yeah, they have some Edoguro stuff, but there's a ton of people like, oh, they're Edoguro Kei. Like that was the thing that was all over the internet when I was younger. That was the very first time I'd ever heard the terms Edoguro, period, in my life was through Duran Gray. It's like, oh, they're Edoguro Kei. And I remember like, oh, are they? And I didn't know any better. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is Edoguro Kei, telling everyone else too. But they're another group that both rides the VK wave, but
at the same time
don't consider themselves Visual Kei.
Yeah.
Never have, to be fair.
Yeah, I had a discussion with Glenda from Treasure Box Press the other day about this actually, where they started off Visual Kei, right? I feel like we had this discussion. A lot of bands seem to do this. Well, the ones that get like ridiculously popular.
Mm-hmm.
You start off Visual Kei, you get that solid fan base, right? And then when that peaks a little bit, like then you go back to like just normal rock, right? Where like you lose the makeup and the hair, right?
Yeah.
And then once you ride that, and then once you're successful there and you've reached it, then you kind of just go back. So it kind of comes full circle. Because like the Duran Gray is a little bit more visual than in the past couple years than they have been for like throughout most of the 2000s. It's almost starting to come back full circle where I could say the Visual Kei again. And like say the same thing with like Lark NCO, where like they started off Indies Visual Kei, then they went to like more mainstream kind of traditional look, right? Get real popular, and then they kind of just came back almost full circle, where like they're always in between now.
Actually, before we go any further to the topic, I'm curious, Dangelo, and you kind of already hinted at this earlier, but what's your take on the "is Visual Kei dead" argument?
I think the early 2000s, right? It was kind of like the K-pop of its time, and then it started to die out a little bit. But I think it's once again coming back full circle, where like K-pop's more popular now. But because of that, I think it almost opened up a little bit of a gateway where like people are more accepting of like Asian, that type of like Asian look, right?
God.
So and then also anime has become more popular again recently. So I think like the both is kind of like it's opening up this little gateway into like Visual Kei having like a rebirth, especially here in the States. I was actually talking to Hal and a lot of the rest of the members of Acme about this in LA. We had like a little bit of a discussion about K-pop and stuff too, and we were going back and forth on it, and they seemed to kind of agree with that idea too. So, like, it's almost weird where like K-pop's a competitor, but also because it's getting so popular here, it's getting people back into that type of like opening themselves up to like the Asian media again. So,
well, the thing is, it's funny. I'm actually curious on your take on this too. Because I've been saying this for years, even before K-pop, even before BTS, because BTS obviously blew it like to another level. But even before BTS, I've been saying this for years. Since day one, A to J Connections, K-pop has always been like a little bigger than anything Japanese. But back in the day, and it grows even crazier now. Like now we actually do cover a few K-pop releases, so it's a little awkward to still tell the story. But anyway, the J and A to J Connections used to stand for like America to Japanese. It was like we only cover Japanese pop culture media. Like now we like to say it stands for nothing, and we just cover like Asia stuff. But at the time it was America, Japan, just Japanese things. And I would explain that to everyone, like, oh, what are you guys saying? Oh, we're a Japanese pop culture website. We're a Japanese pop culture website. And 90% of the time, not even exaggerating, the follow-up question would be like, oh, so you guys like K-pop?
Yeah, I get that.
You guys cover,
I live that now.
No way.
For Treasure Box Press, we do Japanese stuff, right? And every time they're like, so you do K-pop, right? Like that.
No way.
Yeah, that happens all. Well, it still happens now. Well, now we do say an Asian pop culture website. But at the time, when I would say Japanese specifically, and it was actually kind of awkward because we've been moving into this for a good solid year. But when we did an interview at AX with this actor, like a stage actor, and he actually asked us. I don't think an artist has ever asked us this. like directly. He's like, "What does A to J stand for?" And I awkwardly told him, like, it had to do with Japan and weird Japanese pop culture thing. But I feel like a liar. And like the one time an artist cares enough to ask us what it means, and we're at that phase where I'm like, it means nothing. But and it felt weird telling him that it means nothing, because it's our spiel now. Now it's just, I mean, we'll always tell the story that it meant that, but now it's just a grandfathered in term. Yeah.
A to E.
A to E. A to EA. We could even steal the EA thing, like East Asia. But like, we'll do the EA thing. You have to like pay for all of our content now. It's like unlock the rest of the interview. Yeah. But second thing I was going to bring up, and I'm actually not surprised you had to deal with that too. I'm just curious what your take on that K-pop thing is, since you mentioned it there. But the second thing I was going to bring up was that I have this in the notes, and I mention this all the fucking time, everywhere. Like, it's a joke. If you're ever in our A to J chats, even in our public Discord, I joke about this all the time. Whenever we interview a VK artist, and I don't want to say A to J does the same interviews all the time, but we usually have half of the interviews usually questions that like almost like evergreen questions that I feel like we should always ask any artist the first time we interview them. And it changes. We don't ask every artist the same thing, but when it's VK, one of our evergreen questions is like, in different wordings, but like, what are your thoughts on Visual Kei and how do you fit into it? What are your thoughts on Visual Kei? Whatever, something about Visual Kei. And we always make the joke that there'll be that one person in the band, at least one, sometimes the whole band, but there'll be at least that one member who will be like, we're not VK. And Acme has it too, for the record. Yeah. I don't remember who it was. It might have even been all of them. But every single one. And like, on one hand, you can kind of let that go when it's Miyavi. You can kind of you could definitely let it go when it's Miyavi. You can let it go when it's Duran Gray. You can let it go kind of when it's Hyde. But these groups are literally being marketed like, as VK groups, especially in the West. Like, the term is used, but yet if you ask them, and we'll use it too, for the record. Like, if you read like the prefaces to our interviews, we'll use VK this, VK that. But once you get talking to them, it's like, we're not VK. I can't remember. Zombie. Yeah. Zombie's the name of the group. We interviewed Zombie, and the entire band were like, we're not VK. And I'm like, oh my god. And I'm not misquoting them. Like, you can read our interviews. I'll put some links below. I might be wrong about all the band in Zombie, but there was more than one definitely in Zombie. And I'll put links to some of these interviews. And you could just like...
Yeah. Did Acme say that to you, that they're not VK?
A member did, not the whole band.
Oh, okay. Okay, because like when I talked to them about it, they seem pretty open about it, but I know you guys talked to them before I did.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, maybe they're just kind of used to people asking that question by the time.
To be fair,
we
interviewed them earlier on in their, like, I think we interviewed them right before, like, right during their first US show, so... By that point, like now they're like, "What's up, weebs?" That was a Sup Weebs tour. So
yeah.
So by this point, I think they've embraced it. So I don't want to rag on Acme. I don't want to rag on any of them. By the way, it's honestly their viewpoint if they want to feel however But I do think that's worth mentioning because people bring up is VK dead, and even though I'm kind of like on the fence about that, I'll share my viewpoint in a minute, but I almost feel like it's a non-argument if most of the bands don't consider themselves VK. It's like, if they're not saying they're VK, then isn't VK dead? I almost feel like that's like the big elephant in the room, like debate-wise.
I understand what you're saying, yeah. Like, if they don't even consider themselves VK, then like, it's
yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it's as if Poison, like, well, Poison's different now, but like, it's as if Poison was like doing a new album similar to like Look What the Cat Dragged In or whatever. They're like, we're not hair metal, or but they're like all made up with their poofy hair. It's like My Chemical Romance when they were like, we're not emo back in the day, and you remember that? That's actually a real thing. I'm not making that up.
Yeah.
Gerard Way was like, we're not emo. He's like, we're not emo. We're like, we're just hard rock, and we're just lumping us in with emo. And I'm like, I have to respect. Here, I have to respect you said that, and but you guys are emo. I'm sorry. It's like that. It's actually the perfect example. But this is at least a huge segment of VK, and you might be like, Manuel, you've only interviewed like 10 or 12 VK groups, but that's still a pretty sizable representation. And I think it's most of the ones that have come to the U.S. We've interviewed almost everyone that's come to the U.S., and they're all in part or in whole, or like, we're not VK. It's a joke now to us. We kind of just make fun of it. It's like, we're not VK. I don't know, what do you think about that? If they say they're not VK, even though they clearly are, mostly.
I think, like, when they think VK, they're trying not to pigeonhole themselves. You know what I mean? So they just try to kind of ignore it. Like to them, they're just artists, and like that's just like their avenue for their fans at that point. Like they're trying to keep themselves open to more options. Yeah. I think that's how I think of it.
I don't know. Actually, Rachel, before I answer it, what are your thoughts on is VK dead or not?
I really hate that question.
Because
I do hate that question, and I've told you that I hate that question. Mostly because I don't think it's really dead. I don't think it's alive. I think it's just it.
Yeah, okay, that's actually a good answer.
It's just always kind of there, no matter what. It's not like it's only has a handful of fans. They still do lives like all the time in Japan, one-man's groups. They do all of that stuff. There are new groups coming out every year. Some of them actually staying together. So I don't think it's necessarily dead, but it's not as relevant as it used to be.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. As like a lot of the newer groups, which I do like a lot of the newer groups. I actually just got into, I don't know if I'm saying their name right, it's Monstilo. I like them a lot. I think they came out in 2017. And the newer groups just sound very clean, if that makes sense.
You just tell me I'm curious what you're talking about. Like, not now, obviously, but...
There's a... What were you saying? Were you talking about the group?
Yeah, you should send me a link to what you're talking about, Rachel.
Yeah, for sure. They're pretty good.
There's a group I really like called Baby Kingdom, and they're new too. They just got to BP Records, but they were around before that.
Colorful.
Yeah, like one of their shticks is that they're like the Baby Kingdom's like an amusement park, and they're like people working at the amusement park, like the part of the attractions.
The first time you told me that you liked them, I was like, you like Psycho.
Yeah, exactly. They're very much like Psycho Gem. Like they kind of have the cosplay element too. So yeah, I love them. But it's funny because Rachel kind of mentioned this earlier, and I mention this all the time, like in panels. And I was actually talking to a friend of mine the other day about Oshade Kei, and how weird it is that it gets lumped in with like Visual Kei a lot of the times, even though it's kind of its own thing. But like as far as I'm concerned, as far as like most topics are concerned, as far as the panels we do are concerned, it's more of an offshoot. It's kind of like talking about like metal, and then it's like 8 billion subgenres. But speaking of which, there was a point to this. Everyone talks about like the VK genres and whatever, and it's like definitely whatever. There is a sound in the 2010s, and I kind of wish somebody would have named it, because now we're kind of like moving on to something else. There is a legit sound that exists.
So I actually came across a couple rando columns online that were from 2008 to 2010, and a lot of those columns were talking about them calling it Neo Visual Kei. I'm not joking. If you look it up, that's actually that era that people were calling that type of sound. And I wanted to bring that up to you because you always say that, and I'm just like, it's Neo Visual.
We actually kind of talked about that because I remember Miyavi adopted that like big time in his day, but like the problem with that was it never really caught on.
Oh, good. It sounds dumb.
It does sound dumb. It's kind of like new metal.
I don't like that.
Like term. New metal with the umlaut.
New metal.
Like don't get me wrong, I love a lot of new metal bands. Like I love Slipknot, but like I always hated they're a new metal group. I hated that so much.
I don't like neo anything. It sounds dumb.
No, you date yourself immediately with like really weird terminology. But I agree that there should be I almost feel like there should be a genre shift. And I never feel like, oh, well, like, you start going to these crazy... We talked about this on our 80s podcast, on our 80s metal panel. Like, and I'm kind of glad, like, a lot of Japanese music isn't this bad. But, like, I hate the deep dive into, like, oh, this is neo post-industrial punk rock, heavy metal, shoegaze.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't make it overly complicated. That's what everything.
My favorite is my favorite is post punk because I'm like, what the fuck is post punk? That's my favorite one. It's like, oh, that's not heavy metal. That's post punk shoegaze. That's a legit thing people have told me.
We
And I'm
talked
like,
about this before when we were trying to actually figure out what it was. And
apparently
we
it's
looked it up.
pop.
Yeah.
Is that like new wave kind of pop? Like, because that's what we like. I
It's
legit did like,
mainstream, commercialized punk.
yeah, post punk. But I'm just like,
Post-punk.
what the fuck? Anyway, my point is, I almost feel like I don't want to like make that into like a thing Japanese Visual Kei has to deal with, but I almost feel like it kind of needs to be there. Like, music has to evolve. Like,
Because it does have its own.
and we're going really close over time. But one of the biggest complaints I always hear about people hearing VK today is that it all sounds the same. It all sounds the same, and I feel there's two arguments to that. There's always going to be generic groups in any genre, so I agree. But then listen to some of the groups that sound different. There are several groups that sound different. But I will admit that argument kind of stands, and because of that, I'm like, why doesn't this have a name? Why doesn't this samey sounding thing have a name? Or similar, because I think samey is a bit too derogatory. The similar sounding thing should have a name.
There's a lot of different sounds in Visual Kei with like these new bands, but the issue is that a lot of the newer bands that seem to get popular have the same sound because like they're marketing towards the same type of thing. Like they all these bands then have the little bit like the growl, and then it comes with like a soft afterwards.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense. Like the new Datorama song. You know what I mean? Like it's like a light song, and then just because like they have to like market towards that like the new Visual Kei sound that all the bands like that are doing, they get popular. It's just at the beginning and like halfway through, there's just the random like the growl basically, and I'm like,
I'm just gonna
like that's wedged in there. You don't need to do that, but
I'm gonna start making new Visual Kei happen. By new, I mean
Please don't.
and umlaut u new Visual Kei or visual.
Every time
No,
you-
I'll make that
I
happen.
want to copy
Visual with the umlaut in the u.
if you try it, I will support it.
I know. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna make the genre happen. If I
Yeah,
like
you're
dragging
angel and you're devil. I'm gonna be the one that's like.
kicking and screaming into there. Another thing that we talked about is that I'm surprised this didn't get much coverage. I don't think I saw anyone I knew post about this, but Closet Child has like, I don't know if they're like going like not out of business. I don't know if they're doing bad, but they closed down a lot of their stuff and they've reduced a lot of their presence. And I'd be like, oh, what does it matter? Like, that's music stores in general, but Japan was one of the few like bastions of like where one can still go to buy physical, music media. But
yeah, it's a shame.
But Closet
I love
Child,
the Japan buying all the CDs.
yeah.
It's
Did
so
you ever
fun.
go to the Closet Child that was in Akihabara? Harajuku. That's the place to think about.
No, I never made it to Tokyo. Actually, I lived in Osaka.
Oh, what?
And because I was enrolled in school there, right?
Yeah.
That I didn't have much free time except for like the weekends, so it was hard for me to like be able to get to
Dude.
Tokyo and then back because I had to be like held accountable. I think we had a policy where if I missed like one day, I was done for.
Oh.
It was real strict that way. But there's like unless there's like a really mandatory like sick day, there was no skipping or anything, right? So I was like, I don't really like. I'm here, but I gotta kind of stay in like the Tokyo or the Kyoto, Nara, Osaka kind of area.
But there used to be a store in Harajuku with a Closet Child. There were two Closet Childs. One was a 3-story clothes store, like a used clothes store, and then one was a kind of sizable 1-story music store, and it was just a VK store. Well, I'll dig into how. Just reply to someone in the chat because Cheryl Phantom in the chat saying how he's still a fan of VK, but he's mentioning how it's hard to get into VK newer bands today, and I'm just asking how. How so? But that Closet Child, the store, like they used to have tons. Besides the UCDs, they used to have tons of checkies. They would have tons of towels. I used to go crazy with towels because some of the towels would be like 500 yen or less. And like I got so many towels. I'm not a big checky guy at all, especially if they're from like a past show I never really cared about. But but I spent so much money there, and that store's gone. That store is gone. The Closet Child, like most of the Closet Childs have reduced their like footage. If they were like a 3-story store, there might be a 1-story store now. Like the one in Harajuku, like the very famous one, used to have a Lolita floor, a Gothic Lolita floor, like, you know, and then like a regular J fashion floor. I think the Gothic and regular Lolita have just become one floor now. And then other things have happened, and like a lot of this goes hand in hand with, like, you know, like, sure, it's kind of extraneous to it all, but what are you doing? I hear like Russell.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
Is
putting
there,
them
like,
back
a rat?
into. I'm sorry. I was putting them back in a baggie so they don't get lost.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel there's and then there's probably other things, like similar things that are gone. Also, well, we already mentioned this earlier, but like, unless you're a really huge group, or unless you're like Cycle Shem returning or whatnot, you're also kind of relegated back to the selling your CDs by hand, like at a live, which isn't bad.
No, I actually think that's cool, but
I don't
you
know.
know, I wouldn't have gotten any because Daring Grade didn't have their merch.
But yeah,
Shake my head.
they're
I
no
was
lo-
gonna buy so much. I really was.
it's kind of an obvious thing, but just VK is no longer the commercial force it used to be. Like, even though it was huge in the early 2000s, we forget, and I guess none of us can really comment on it because none of us were like there at all in any sense of the word, but it was really big in the 90s. Like, bands were legit like filling arenas, and this is like a mainstream popular music, you know, genre, like, you know, X Japan, Lunacy,
So much that
Dallas
it
Miser,
was
etc. Yeah.
like spreading into other stuff like idol groups and
So no matter how
like
you look at
mainstream.
So no matter how you look at it, it had nowhere really to go but, like, you know, back into like a smaller place. But when you look at it in that context, that it was gigantic, like mainstream in the 90s, and then it was pretty huge and mainstream in the West in the 2000s, and then it's like kind of small, kind of indie with a few big groups in the 2010s, you could almost see it's like an almost nice, you know, descending slope. And I mean, like, obviously that's not totally fair to say. There have been, like, you know, ups and downs in general, like, along the way, but
I mean, you're not wrong.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be just getting back in a circle, like I discussed with like what Duran Gray and Lark and see what their Visual Kei styles going from Visual Kei not the back full circle again.
Yeah.
I do think that
actually
could
go back full
definitely
circle.
happen.
Yeah.
I didn't laugh about your thing, by the way. I glanced at the chat, and his response about how they hard to get into is his answer in the chat was because they look and sound the same. And it just I will admit, there was a point because
It depends what you're listening to.
well, there was a point when there was a certain friend of mine who used to send me a lot of new groups to talk about in every VK panels, and mind you, she wasn't into like the normal VK sound because there is like a kind of a more pseudo poppy Oshada type thing that's still going on, but she's more into like almost the legit hardcore, like the Duran Gray wannabes. But more accurately, I call them like poor man's like poor man's Kizu, because like it's not fair. They're not trying to be Duran Gray. They're trying to be Kizu, but like they all sound like Kizu, and it's like they look and sound like Kizu, and I'm like, oh my god! It's like, come on, guys! It's like, stop. And
that's what got mainstream, though. That's what all those bands are doing. That's like, why they all have like purple hair.
Yeah, like Kizu, for those who don't know, is one of the bigger bands in the scene right now. Even though nobody really talks, like, I don't really care about them. I don't talk about them.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, same thing. I'm not a huge fan of their sound, so I keep walking away from the mic. I'm not a huge fan of their sound in general, and I also don't like that, like I already said, that they spawn so many ripoffs. Yes.
To the person in the comments, look up Vexent if you want to try something that's not like the normal.
No, wait. Isn't that band that did that song? It's like it's almost a copy of like that Gazette song Inside Beast. It's like Welcome to the Darkness or something. Yes, that is the exact same song. Can we discuss it? It is so similar.
God.
It's similar, but it's not the same song.
It is so ridiculously similar. It's like disgusting. We can maybe agree to disagree.
Okay.
That guy looked like Rookie. That song sounds exactly the same. Like enough. Like this starts me being inspired and being like, all right, I want to do that.
This is
I
not.
like
their other songs too. Then, because
I liked them. They're cool, but like, a little too far. I don't know.
I've heard songs that were way closer than that one, so
I'm curious now.
But yeah, everyone go check out Baby Kingdom again, like I said earlier. But this is
what
really
was the other one before them?
Huh?
0 Hertz.
Oh, what about 0 Hertz?
They just kind of faded into nothing.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
To be honest, I never actually knew about them. Ever, I only knew about them because they were on BP and because like they were just I would cover them. But I never knew a thing about them, like beyond what their new songs were.
They're not very interesting.
Yeah, they didn't even sound very interesting, to be honest.
They're really not that interesting.
There's like nothing interesting on BP to me. Like the only thing is
I like Kiryu.
Like Roy's, but like they're also like not that interesting either.
Roy's is really
like them,
hit
but
or
they're not
miss.
No, wait, I'm sorry, but like I used to love Kiryu, but you want to talk about a band that sounds the same? Kiryu sounds like they rip off Kiryu. I mean, like I just
They really do.
like
They sound so similar to their own songs forever.
And for the record, like you can do that sound different. Like there's a band called Onmi. They're not Visual Kei, but there's a band called Onmyoza. There is a Visual Kei band called Kagura who also had similar like traditional Japanese sounding elements of their music. You can do that and sound different.
But
Kiryu they just keep doing the same thing, like literally. I'm like, and then the
that's what sells for them.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm like, guys, you guys are ripping off yourselves. Like, I almost feel like I can't talk shit about that because it's self-plagiarism a thing.
Yeah, I mean, if it works, like, why would you stop?
But still, it's just like, I used to love Kiryu. I'm not gonna lie, I loved Kiryu when I first discovered them. But then after, like, I'm like, these all sound the same. It's like I can't do this anymore. Kiryu, stop doing this too. I still love their MVs. I still love their MVs because like some of them could be really crazy, over the top, gory and whatever. But Rise is also hit and miss. But yeah, but
group
Kiryu,
that does that, Jiruka. They do that a lot, where they sound like themselves just constantly, and you're just kind of like, yeah.
I saw their lives. I was like, is this like the same song over and over again? It was cool. I had fun.
I like them, yeah.
But definitely like, man.
This is crazy off topic, but there's this idol group I love called. Well, I'm sure everyone heard of them. They're pretty famous. Called Bish. They go on stage and they'll do a set list of the same song like 7 times, and then like walk off.
Sounds like them.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like them, but like you're like, wait, that wasn't an ironic joke. They really did 7 different songs that all sounded the same, basically. But anyway, what was my next point there?
I think we're a little off. What are we doing?
I know we're talking about like visual. We're talking about Bish. Talking about like fucking Cutie sounding the same. JP Industry singles, Visual Kei Dead. Yeah, I don't know. Like kind of similar to what Rachel kind of stole my thunder. I should have went first. I was gonna say almost the exact same words. I don't think it's dead. I think it's just there. If anything, I think it's like it's a much smaller force. It's there. I used to like using the term like it's like a zombie of itself, but it really isn't. The biggest thing, and it's funny because I never really put 2 and 2 together that much until this podcast. Like I used to say it, but it was when I was thinking about this podcast that it really dawned on me. I'm like, I said this already, but like, sure, Visual Kei kind of feels dead because everyone's saying they're not Visual Kei. Like, sure, they're not pigeonholing themselves, but it's hard to call it something if everyone in the genre is like, we're not Visual Kei. And Dynamite Tommy, I put this in here because like he was quoted in an interview a while back, and we interviewed him again at Anime Expo, and he said something similar, not quite the same words. But he used to be in a band called Color, and he was also a producer. Like he, I want to say he worked for During Gray. He definitely worked with them to some capacity, but a ton of other groups. He went on record saying that as far as he's concerned, like Visual Kei, like that he knew it, like when he was like doing music, is dead. Like that doesn't exist anymore.
That era, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess to a degree, if we're talking about like, that sort of style, it is. But also I feel like if Dynamite Tommy had his way, like VK died like, in the mid 90s, and I definitely think there's an argument that it went on way after that. But still there's people like him saying that. But then also you got people like Yoshiki, who even though I talked all that crap about him earlier, like he was on Eddie Trunk's show, like Eddie Trunk from like that metal show. Like it's actually called That Metal Show. He was on that show, and he's like, oh yeah, we do a thing called Visual Kei, and I'm like, oh, I almost like feel bad I ever talk crap about you because you're like the only person. But then again, you almost feel like he has to say that.
Yeah, because he's like,
it's
that's
extra,
his thing.
Yeah, it's extra.
Yeah, like
pan.
that's his thing. He has to say it. It's still live.
Yeah, it's extra pan. It's like sure, it's like, but still, you kind of got to give it to him. He didn't say like, oh, we're like hard rock. We're like
yeah,
because the argument can definitely be made. You listen to an Extra Pan song and you put it next to a Malice Miser song, they're not the same, in any sense of the word. Be it, I guess, kind of in look, but not even that. They're really not the same. It gets even crazier if you would grab them and put them up against like Rory's, for example. Just pick someone out the blue. It's like put fucking Endless Ray next to a Rory song. It's like what?
People like, this isn't the same genre.
Yeah, people are putting this in the same category, which is why I say also we kind of need a new name for it. For those who don't know,
Visual Kei is like a style. It's not really a genre.
Yeah,
but then like it just happens. A lot of people that do that style fall into the same type of
exactly
music. But then like, what do you call that?
I like when people ask the question. Manuel does it at the end of panels sometimes, where he says, "Is it a style or is it a music genre?" And I like to consider it more of a movement,
yeah,
than anything else.
I can be on board with that.
I think that's the best way to describe what it was and what it is. Because, like you were saying, there's so many different sounds, and at this point, so many different looks. It's just, I think it's easier to call it a movement.
Yeah, I don't know.
You do know, though.
Yeah, I do know, and I feel like we go on about this forever. I think we should start wrapping it up, though, because we're like mildly over time. I don't like uploading videos past 2 hours to YouTube because YouTube never likes it. For those who like, mind you, like, and I actually didn't, and these are different people, so I didn't even talk to them. Like last week's podcast went on for 3 hours, but Max and I just talked forever. Well, not even Max and I. Max just talked forever. But we'll start wrapping this up. Any conclusions you want to make, Dangelo?
Visual Kei is complicated. Even though I think we're gonna fully see the cycle go around again, where we're gonna have a resurgence of Visual Kei coming up here in the next 5-6 years. I think. I was gonna say almost 10 years, but that's probably too much. But like,
I feel like that is
the first half of the next decade. I think we're gonna see a resurgence of it coming around again. Now I kind of see it coming, so. Look forward to it. If you're a fan, look forward to it. If you're not a fan, get into it now while you can. Then you can pretend you're cooler than everyone else when it's cool again.
You can be that boomer that wants you off your lawn.
Yep.
Rachel, your thoughts?
I think it's going to be way better worded than... I have fun. If you like something, you like something. Like, you don't have to act like it's this whole thing. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Don't say you don't like it because it's not Visual Kei. Just say you don't like it.
Yeah. Going off of Rachel said, that's what I wanted to go last. Once again, going off Rachel said, and I knew you say something like that. I always feel bad because on one hand, I always say I don't like to do the post-punk neo shoegaze or the fuck, genre shit. But I basically am, and that's basically what I'm asking for, and that's basically what I like. The panels turn out to be.
You want from people. Look at you.
It's like
you
it's funny, yeah. I'm like super. I feel like I'm almost super two-faced, like to a degree, or to be more accurate. I feel like I'm part of the problem on both sides of the issue. It's like it's VK Dead, like I don't know. Once again, like Rachel said, like just enjoy what you enjoy. Listen to what you listen to. If bands like your bands, it's funny. It's now that we're done, I just realized we didn't talk about at all about the bands who have changed completely, like real fast, like how Takadu from Sug is doing.
I was thinking that too.
Yes,
I was gonna bring him up during K-pop, but I was.
Oh my god! We'll say that we'll table that for another day. There's also other people like the people from Megibray are doing like this other like really poppy thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
They are so different.
Yeah.
I'm rolling my eyeballs.
It's so funny.
Thank you. So we'll table that for another day because I can't believe I forgot that.
That's a whole thing.
Definitely invite me back for that one.
Yeah.
I'm not even a Megibray fan, but like I'm pretty passionate.
Same.
Oh god, yeah.
That's so funny.
I need in on this.
I forgot about that. I just remembered that this second. I'm like, oh my god.
We'll have a whole other talk.
Yeah, we will. And that's the thing. I was going to say, like, these topics can go on forever. And like I said, we've covered this in past podcasts. We covered this in many panels. But, yeah, I don't know. And I will say this, like, there definitely is interest in VK. Like, they always bring in decent-sized crowds, not like huge ones, but there's always interest. And they do come
It's
up a
always
lot.
maintaining.
Yeah. And it maintains at a good level. Like, there are always people asking for a VK group in, like, the guest suggestions. And so it's there. Just enjoy what you're going to enjoy. Everyone go check out Baby Kingdom. And then, before we actually go, though, just some other little cleanups. By the way, if we made you laugh at all during the show, we deserve that like. And if we made you laugh, like, more than, like, 5 times, we deserve a sub. I'm just kidding. Just do what you can.
Smash that motherfucking like button.
Smash that like button. Smash that hit that sub, hit the notification bell, all that, nonsense. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/AJConnection. Shout out to Ed and Kenneth, our current patrons. You can get some early interviews, there's some things there, but more importantly, we're gonna revamp it totally in 2019. There's still a lot of good stuff on there. Like, there's a lot of exclusive videos. Like, we have a lot of video interviews there that only exist there. So for reasons, and I check those out. For as little as, I think $2 is our lowest tier, and you get everything. You want to give us more, that's fine. And if you can't, then just keep watching our stuff. Honestly, I don't I hate e-begging. It helps. It helps at least pay for the day-to-day stuff, like the site and everything. So yeah. We're going to be at ALA soon. Check us out there.
If you're interested in seeing us in person,
yeah, Rachel and I will be there, and we're going to be doing a couple panels. We're doing Edogudo for sure. And
yes, 100%.
Yeah, and I'm also doing the 80s metal one with another friend of mine, the one who was on for the 80s metal podcast. Link in the description. Next week is our last podcast until next year sometime, mid-January. It'll be on Tuesday again, and we want to change the podcast up a little. We want to go more for a night show type deal where we have one big topic and a lot of just current news ones. So just to try it out, and also just to be fun because it's our last one of the year, we're going to talk about a lot of topics that were just off topic for our podcast. When we're talking about the Vic Mignogna scandal, we're going to talk about the Pro Jared scandal. We're going to talk about a lot of other hot button, the Onision, thing, a lot of drama stuff. We're basically going to make the internet hate us for what we. Yeah, it's a lot of YouTube drama, to be honest. But I feel like, to hate it, like it or not, we are kind of Twitch streamers, YouTubers. So it kind of goes to the especially YouTubers. We have a pretty decent following on YouTube. Thank you all for that, by the way. So yeah, same time, place Tuesday 7 p.m. Callie will be here, Konaru will be here, and maybe another guest or two. Definitely me, Callie, and Konaru. So come out for that. Thank you to Show Phantom and everyone else who watches live. Thank you to the people watching us on YouTube. I assure you, if you leave a comment, I will see it, and I will show everyone in A to J the comment. And thank you so much, Dangelo, for being on.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a lot of fun having you.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
I know.
Yeah, I will come back. Invite me back sometime.
I know.
No pressure.
Yeah, and that said, I also don't want to scare anyone with what I said earlier about next year going more out. Don't get me wrong. I don't think we're going to cover we're not going to be on next year talking about oh, did you hear what PewDiePie did? It's still not going to be us. But I mean,
and a J drama alert.
We're now a tea spilling.
Yeah, we're not gonna go that far. We're not gonna go that far. But I do want to open it up a little, more of topics. That maybe the whole last hour will be the big topic. And it doesn't have to be topical. It could be once again we'll do VK again, but we just. For all I know, that won't work, and we're going to just go back to this bullshit. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how next week turns out, to be honest. But on that note, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for that. Thank you, Rachel, for coming tonight as well. The first time on, I keep forgetting about that because you and I talk a lot. I just figured it's your first time on here, though.
Yeah.
But
I'm a nervous Nancy.
Anyhow, good night, and see you all another time. See you all next week.